All right, y'all. Welcome to All Politics and Local, America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. Y'all know if it's Friday, y'all know it's time for All Politics or Local. But more importantly, y'all know if it is the third Friday, y'all know it's time for the Mayor's Forum with our beloved brother, the one and only Mayor Raz J. Baraka out of the great city, our home city, of course, the great city of Newark in the state of New Jersey. So listen, y'all, we've got a real big show tonight, a lot going on, and so we're going to kick it off with the mayor's forum tonight, and then of course coming up after that, we're going to talk to a number of different people about what's going on, and with Dr. King's birthday coming up. We're going to talk with our brother Larry Hamm, who's doing his annual march, of course, on Monday. So, and then, of course, we're going to talk to our sister, the new Central Ward Councilwoman. We're going to talk to her about, what's going on around celebrating Muslims and those types of things. And then we'll have a couple of people join in on that conversation as well. And of course, we'll have the deputy mayor, Brother Rahman Muhammad. He's going to join that conversation along with Bashir. So we're going to talk about the long history of Islam and of course Muslims in the city of Newark. So we'll get to all of that, and we'll have some great conversation. But y'all know we've got a lot we want to get with the mayor, so we don't want to waste no time and bringing our brother on. Peace, man.
Peace. What's going on, brother? How are
You,
you?
listen, man. I don't know, man. It's the first of the year, and it seemed like, man, there's so much going on, man, and it's like it's hard to keep up, man. So we need to talk to you, like, to find out, what's really happening in America, man. Because I think you the prodigal son, man. So you need to help us get through this, man. You know,
Yeah.
like,
I mean,
like
I
you.
heard you talking about Amina Bay and the raising of the flag. We got city got all kind of calls about that flag raising, death threats, and that people gonna come shoot the place up because you raised the Muslim flags. We really
No,
in a dangerous time, brother. Yes, sir. Yep, absolutely. Got multiple calls
wow.
about people coming to City Hall doing all kinds of things because the Muslim flag was raised.
No, man, I didn't even hear anything about that, bro. Wow.
Yeah, those are the things these people are not going to talk about because they're not really activists. They here as disruptors, but ultimately, that was raised because of Sister Amina Bay, and then the backlash because of that. That's why we've been on alert around the city hall and the city buildings because of that. Yeah, and then
Wow.
some ICE agents tried to enter the building as well. The police turned them away. They tried to get in, said they just wanted to walk around. The Newark police said, "Nah, you can't come in here." Plus they was dressed in plain clothes. You can't come in this building. You don't have no warrant. You don't have no reason to be in here. You don't have nowhere to go. You got to get out.
Wait. You saying they tried to come into City Hall?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Come on, man. That is hard to believe, brother.
Yes, sir, man. These people are dangerous, man. The stuff that's happening in this country now is really, really, really dangerous, man. We knew it was going to get to this point, but if you see
Right.
what's happening in Minneapolis, man, you can tell that it looks like a time, in the history of this country, though, that has been long gone, and things that have been happening in other places. You know, the repression that's going on outwardly and openly, man. When you shoot a white woman in the face, you know where
Yes.
we are and
Yes.
what time period we're in. It's like Viola Luiso, who was from Chicago, a Unitarian white woman who went down to Alabama to participate in the Selma and Montgomery March, who was driving, civil rights workers back and forth, was killed by the Klan in Alabama. So it's the same kind of period of things that has happened, that's happening now. this period is incredibly similar to then. And so people just really, I mean, when white women get killed in broad daylight at point blank range, you know, something that we have endured for so long, when it begins to spread that way, you know, we're in a very repressive period, man. Very repressive period. And people just need to be prepared and alert for that. So when ICE agents try to come into City Hall, you know, I mean, this is bold. That's bold. Wow. You know, we had to, you know, our police officers had to turn them away. Like, y'all can't come in here. Like, where you going? No way, you just want to walk around. Well, you can't just walk around in here, brother. You need a destination. You got to go. Yeah, man, it's just very bizarre. You know, we're writing a letter to them, the DOJ, to, you know, basically, you know, tell them that we are opposed to that. And, you know, they can't just come in our building this way. People have to have the freedom to come into City Hall and take care of city business without fear and disruption and a violation of their democratic rights. So, you know, they can't come in City Hall at all. They're not welcome there.
And you know, the issue I would have with that, man, is your security, because if they shoot a white woman, what's to stop them from walking up to your office and going into a shootout and hurt you? I mean, what's
well, I mean, that's the point. If they shooting these people in broad daylight in their cars in Minneapolis, you know, in New Jersey, that police officer automatically broke the law in New Jersey. In New Jersey, right, the use of force, new use of force laws say, if there is room to escape, you have to. Police.
Right.
You can't shoot in a moving car, right? And it was clear that he had room to get out of the way. So that right in New Jersey, he would have violated some criminal laws and should have been subject to arrest in the state of New Jersey. Yeah. Whether they do it or not is one thing, but the law in New Jersey is clear. We already had one police officer in Newark who was indicted and convicted for shooting into a moving car.
You know, yeah, that's what the sister said in Philadelphia, man. She was like, she sent them a message, you know, the sheriff, the sister in Philadelphia. She was like, no, we're not gonna have that. You know, she's like, you know, y'all come here with that. We're not going to have it. And you know what was released recently? I saw this, I think it was yesterday. You know, they were talking about some of the people who are ICE agents. They're actually the folks from January 6th. Some of those folks are actually part of the details.
Well, there's no way to determine if they are or not. You know what I mean? Because these guys got on masks. Some of them don't even, right, you know, they don't have any identifying insignia on, so you don't know who these people are, where they originate from. The fact that I mean, I was listening to the governor of Minnesota saying that these people are going door to door, bro, going door to door, asking people for papers and IDs. Man, this is, I don't know if people understand what's happening here. I mean, going door to door, ringing people bells, asking them for their papers. That's beyond out of control, man. Anybody of good conscience should be opposed to that, without question. There's no explanation, no defense, no justification for any of that stuff that's going on.
Right.
You know, and this is clearly gone past the concept of immigrants right now and criminals and all this other stuff. These people are just using force to abuse, you know, citizens or regular people or whoever just abuse people of that state simply because of the, you know, opposition. Now he's talking about instituting the Insurrection Act, which he's trying to put complete military personnel in the city and suspend posse comitatus and go into these communities, you know, and begin to detain people without warrant, without due process, without any of this stuff. And for him to put that, for the president of the United States to put that on Truth Social and have the press secretary to reiterate that, to speak it again, is like way out, man. It's very, very dangerous that they're doing that. Like, even entertaining the concept is like the wave or the chorus of voices against that in Congress should have been loud and robust. But it wasn't. Same few people come out and say X, Y, and Z. That's not good, man. It means that we are acquiescent to what's going on, and that's just not domestic. Like, in the private sense, I mean, in the international sense, the foreign sense, this kind of gunboat diplomacy, this Monroe Doctrine that they are enacting now, the new Trump doctrine, to go around to these places and use their might to overthrow and topple governments and take their resources, is, I don't care whose side you're on or what you believe or what you think politically. I mean, I was talking to a gentleman. I said, look, if President Trump was removed from office, there's tens of millions of Americans that would rally and be like, they support that. There's tens of millions of others who would say this is wrong, right? Because they support him based on the votes that he got. But none of those people would agree that a foreign government should come into the United States, remove the president of the United States, and seize the resources of this country. That's clear. And that's what's happening there, right? So in an objective sense, in a politically objective sense, to support the fact that you should go into another country, kidnap the president of the country, a sitting official, and his wife, and bring him back here, and then get on and tell people we're seizing their oil and telling the oil companies to go in there and invest and take these people's oil. That's a criminal act. That's robbery. That's robbery. Those people can be prosecuted in international court. This guy is gone. Those people can be and will be prosecuted. And I think some of those corporate guys know that, and so that's why some of them are hesitant about it, because ultimately, I mean, there's no justification for taking the oil. Don't belong to Maduro. It is a resource of the country. It's a national resource. You can't take these people oil. I mean, this is what they did to Africa and the Caribbean a long time ago. You know, Walter Rodney, how Europe underdeveloped Africa, is clear on what happened there. But, you know, ultimately, this kind of gunboat diplomacy that's happening internationally and nationally, you know, what's the irony of this is that we are talking about this, you know, around the birthday of Martin Luther King and the day that we celebrate him on Monday. And then he had the speech that he gave on the three evils of America: the militarism, materialism, right, and racism. You know, this is exactly, is incredibly relevant today, because the heightened level of racism and anti-blackness and you know the repealing of rights that were designed to support and buttress Black lives and targeting Black people and Black and brown people, the racism, even the public statement he made about Somalia. I mean, just the open and blatant and ugly white supremacy, right? And then the militarism that's happening, not just internationally, but nationally, like the bombing of Somalia, the bombing of Iran, the bombing of Venezuela, the bombing of Nigeria, right? And the posture, and if you heard this crazy ass Stephen Miller on TV justifying all of this behavior, right? Talking about, you know, we can't have these people in our backyard who support folks that disagree with us. That's insane that he would say that in this century, and have it not challenged to the degree it should be challenged. So that's what they're doing. The militarism is like not just international, but it's locally. They put military on the street in the backyards of American residents and citizens. So the militarism, and then this materialism, this concept, this gross and ugly form of capitalism that is existing now, where billionaires are getting rich. So how can you? There's no justification. The perverse idea that you would appropriate millions of dollars to bomb Palestinian women and children and disenfranchise them and kill them and destroy their infrastructure. and at the same time take money out of the mouths and stomachs of working class and poor children in America through this big ugly bill speaks clearly to the heavy emphasis on materialism and capitalism and all of this. And those three things King talked about. It is the moral, the moral kind of destruction or internal self-implosion of this country, because of those three specific things that is relevant today, is more salient now, because he was talking about Vietnam, Jim Crow, right? And, just rampant poverty that existed in cities across America that still exist. I mean, that's what he was talking about. As we celebrate King, that needs to be highlighted more than anything, because that's what's happening now, right? That's what's happening now. This is no immigration policy. This is an attack on Black and brown people. That's all this is. You don't see no immigrants from Poland or Ukraine or Eastern Europe or Canada or any other place being dragged through the streets, attacked. Their stores ran up and deported like this, thrown in jails and all these places in Ecuador. You don't see this happening, right? So this is a clear focus and attack on Black and brown people. There's no way around that, right? And anybody that disagrees with this guy, that speaks out against this guy, that says anything different, he targets them.
Yep.
They target them. The DOJ, Department of Justice, all of the apparatus that they have comes after those people.
Chair. Yeah. The Fed chair was just well, he is being investigated now, and
it's so crazy, man. How do you investigate the chair of the Federal Reserve? I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, he's attacking his own institutions.
Yeah. But that speaks to what you just said, though, right? I mean, anybody that disagrees with him. But I think the real question is, though, man, is that, I mean, they're getting so emboldened. The question is, and if they're bold enough to come to, City Hall with a man by the name of Baraka, come on, man. What are we gonna do, brother? How do we get ready?
Oh, they way past emboldened, brother. They way past that. They doing what they want to do right now. It's like a free for all.
Yeah.
It's like they way past the confidence. They got it. They doing whatever they want to do. And the more dangerous thing about this is these ICE agents that they pull on, they're not trained, right? They have no experience in these communities. The whole pushback against police abuse and reform and all the things that have been happening across the country does not affect or touch them in any way. They have the ability and the permission from the government and the United States Supreme Court to discriminate against people, to pull people over, to use abhorrent levels of force and not be held accountable for it, which means that, unfortunately, this is not the only person that may become a victim and hasn't been a victim, or succumbs because of their, interaction with these folks.
Man, I got to tell you, man, we I know we were riled up for George Floyd, man, but I think that with and it's funny because, your mother was always warning us about fascism, I mean, that was the thing she was always talking about, and we're here. But the question is, if they're going door to door, if they're going to City Hall, what's to stop them from kicking your door in? And the question is, are they pushing us at some point? I mean, we've got to decide what we're gonna do, right? Because I mean, we have a right, to defend ourselves as well, and especially, man, I get a vision. Can you imagine some guys walking around City Hall with masks on, looking in people's offices? I mean,
it's insane, and they will be put out. But ultimately, I mean, and thank God the folks down at the desk had the presence of mind to say and understanding the policies and be like, you can't come in here. Like, you got to go. Like, you're not welcome here to do that. Like you don't have a warrant. You don't have a destination. You can't enter. And that's important, because you put everybody at risk.
Right.
Because these people are rogue at this point. They are like, doing whatever they want, wherever they want, to whomever they want. I mean, the real pernicious thing about it is that they lie even when there's a video.
Yeah. You can't believe what you see.
Yeah, don't believe your lying eyes. You can see clearly what the hell happened there, but they continue to lean on falsehood, brother.
Yeah, but that's the dangerous time we're living in, and and the fact is we got 3 more years of this unless we can take over Congress in some way and then be able to impeach this guy, but
that's what we need, man. That's the first line to get some people down there to push back against this thing. And you got to be clear on who you're putting down there too. You got to put the right folks down there so they can push back on this stuff to make sure that these things don't get voted in, to vote against his authority to bomb Venezuela, to attack people, to stop sending money, to bomb women and children in Palestine, to not attack, not have his private wars that he's enlisting in right now, to push back against the cutting of federal funds to these cities and all these other places, to shut all that down and then impeach him.
Yeah, I think we got to do something, man, because people are afraid to go to work. People are afraid for their kids to go to school. And man, I can't imagine no black group of organization ever having the ability to do what these guys are doing, right? I mean, we said that. During January 6th, we said, can you imagine if black folks that went and took over the White House? But imagine if black folks was just stopping white folks and shooting white folks in the face. I mean, this country would erupt, man. And I just can't.
You wouldn't even get that far.
Right. But I'm saying we've got to have leadership now that speaks to, us being able to, how are we going to survive? Because at some point, man, you keep pushing people. At some point, that people are going to push back.
Yeah.
And the question is, how do we control the brothers and sisters so that they're not pushing back in a negative way? Because that seems like what Trump is trying to do, right? I mean, he's trying to push us.
Yeah, well, Trump is doing
exactly what
he wanted to do. The first term, he's doing it now. He's just tearing the place up and does not have one iota of guilt about any of this stuff, man. He's going hard and going fast. That's it. And in less than a year, man, he has created a serious level of upheaval and chaos, and have panicked and disrupted everything that people thought was stable in this place, period. Your voting rights in question, education is in question, funding for housing, for healthcare is in question. He put his name on the Kennedy Center. He like any kind of megalomania, narcissistic type of thing he has done. And he is in full attack mode, brother. He in full attack mode, nationally and internationally. And it does not seem that there's no end in sight and no force at this moment that has organized itself to stop him.
Right. And if see, that's, I posted something, man, and I said, well, what's to stop Putin from going into Ukraine if this guy can terrorize us in America, and then if he can go and just take Venezuela, and now he's talking about taking
Oh yeah.
Greenland. If he could just do that, I mean, I mean, come on, man. I mean, you at some point,
Let me tell you something. If he goes into Greenland, that's the end of NATO. NATO is over. Them people are already landing troops in there, by the way. You know that. The European governments and other people are already sending troops to Greenland.
Yeah.
In preparation for an American invasion. I mean, the Allies since, the First World War, right? All the Allies and so forth and so on, after the war, I mean, they're gone. They'll be gone. The U.S. will be fighting against the French, the English, as well as all the other NATO forces. I mean, this guy is taking it all the way there. But this was their plan, though. We shouldn't be surprised because this was their plan. And they told you in advance. That's how crazy it is. They told you in advance what the plan was, and they just executed it. And everybody see it happening. People didn't believe it. You know why they didn't believe it? Because they thought that the constitutionality of the institutions of this country, the system of democracy, would make this thing impossible for him to do. And as you can see, that did not hold him back. And the real reason that didn't hold him back is because those institutions are not as strong and stable as we think they are. And the sentiments of democracy, they don't uphold. So the cracks and the weaknesses in democracy through the love of racism, militarism, and materialism allowed Trump the room to do the things that he's doing today.
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely right, man. I just think that, as Black folks in this country, man, I'm not sure if we really understand what's really happening, right? We see it because we think it's happening to them, right? And
I don't know why it's happening to all of us simultaneously.
Yeah, but
they ain't leaving nobody off the table.
Yeah, I mean, we know that. But if you having a conversation with some of the brothers in the hood or in the barbershop, they don't think that's happening to us, right?
Because we have to, we got to explain what's going on. We got to sharpen your theory. I was talking to a guy. They had a men's event the other day, and the guy was on a panel, and he said, saying all this stuff. He said, but I don't want to get political. And I got up there and said, and that's the problem.
Right.
Therein lies the problem. We don't want to be political. We got to be political.
Right.
Your statement that you don't want to be political is a political statement. The reality is you have to be political. You can't just be on the sidelines. You got to be political. We're assuming that we could do things and say things that'll change the system. People, we need financial literacy. I mean, it's cool to have financial literacy, but if you gave everybody financial literacy, that's not going to change the conditions that we're in. The reality is financial literacy is not the reason that the wealth gap exists, period, point blank.
Right.
And I don't want to be political. I don't want to choose sides. Well, it's too bad. You got to choose sides, and you have to be political right now, more than ever. You got kids and you say you don't want to be political right now, and the things that are going on out here, you don't have no other choice but to be political.
Right. But man, I mean, it seemed to me, man, that, and I'm having these discussions with different people, the Farrakhan's of the world is in their 90s, the Reverend Jacksons of the world, got Parkinson's, Black people would speak to it. In my mind, and I say this to you privately, man, I just think that you're one of the only really voices that can rile up and talk to the people, man, because I think that we clearly confused at this point. I don't even think we know what's going on, man.
There's a lot of people out there, man. I would say that there's a lot of people out there. The problem is our institutions are not as strong as they once were. And we just don't have the media like we had before. We don't have the people explaining it to people every single day. There's no Chicago Defender, Pittsburgh Courier, Baltimore Sun, Those papers are gone. No, the whole Like It Is and Tony Brown's Journal and all those things that were happening over and over again that explained to us and talked to us about what was happening. The conferences that exist over and over again, the Malcolm X conference, the A. Philip Randolph conference, the Medgar Evers conference at Medgar Evers, all these things that took place that informed people and got us together of like minds and begin to help mobilize and organize. Look, I used to go to a conference and Kwame Ture was there with Dr. Ben, and this person and that person and this person and my dad and all kinds of people. You had the, All African People's Revolutionary Party and the Malcolm X grassroots movement and the December 12th movement and this group and that group and the United Brothers and Committee for Unified Newark and all these people, and I'm not saying all of them were working together seamlessly in concert, but the reality is there was a lot to choose from and there was a lot of definition and defining going on so people could look at the world through the lens of their journey and not the lens of people that hated them.
Yeah. But I don't know if you just saw what Kafele said, and he's right, man. We agree with you, man. There are a lot of voices out there, but I think that man, I've been in spaces where people have called you the next rightful heir to leadership with Black folks, right? And I'm saying Black folks because only if you talk to the brothers and some of the conversations I've been having and walking away from. Where they're saying that stupid stuff like, yo, that ain't us. We should mind our own Black business. We ain't got nothing to do with that. That's on them. And now, you talking about them coming to City Hall. I'm like, come on, brothers.
That's anger and like misinformed interpretation of what's going on. Black people upset. They figure nobody came to their rescue. So why they should go to other people's rescue. That's how we feel right now in this present sense. It's ahistorical, first of all. Like historically, it's not true. People did align themselves with Black folks throughout our struggles in this country. So to say that that didn't happen or never happened is just simply not the facts. You do have these people who believe now that we need to get away from identity politics because they think that's how they organize more people. That's problematic. Like even strong left-leaning folks like Bernie and the rest of them, who don't want to talk about reparations, who don't want to talk about identity politics, even AOC and the rest of these folks who have moved themselves away from the kind of national identity of African Americans because they don't want to be like, they're saying it's identity politics or chauvinistic. But there is revolutionary kind of nationalism that's necessary for us because we were oppressed as a nation in this country, unlike other people. Our history in America is different than everybody else's history, right? And so that has to be acknowledged and included in all of the things that we're talking about. That's why you have these No Kings rally with no Black people in them. That's why you have this organizing that's going on, and there's not a lot of Black people out there because they are not speaking the language that will incite organize and mobilize Black folks because we feel like we're absent from their demands. And that's a problem. Like we have to have a real kind of internal discussion in the left about the exclusion of Black thought.
Yep.
Right. And I understand that, some of us have go so far that we become, like chauvinistic in what it is we think, and not inclusive of everybody else, which is wrong, right? But at the end of the day, you're going to have to identify the fact that Black people have gone through a very specific history in this country and need a very specific remedy, right? Along with everybody else, along with the other things that are going on, because we need to address the minimum wage, we need to address affordability, we need to address all this, but you also need to address racism.
Yep. But
you need to address white supremacy in the institutions, all American institutions, right? Politically, socially, economic, academic institutions are wrought and poisoned by white supremacy. That's just the facts. Like we want to organize with everybody else. That's the right thing to do. We should be building multinational alliances to challenge these. The only way we're going to win. But in those discussions, we have to tell these people, look, in order for us to get Black people to be involved in this, you have to talk about the fact that there's some overlay of discrimination against Black folks that are happening that we need to challenge in this process. And we need to be in leadership. We need to be a part of the inner circle. We don't need to just be passing out flyers and standing outside, rallying people in speeches because they think we're good orators. We need to be the policy. We need to be involved in policy and all of these things, man. That's what needs to happen. You can't have a coalition of folks and not have Black people in leadership. You can't do it.
Yep.
You can't do it. And if you do it, it's a mistake. It's a mistake. And you're going to drive out the most loyal, most ferocious, most organized, most historic movement against colonialism, fascism, the most vile forms of capitalism. Black people have fought against all of these things. It has the longest, most historical struggle in these fights.
Yep. But man, we all that you say is right and exact, 100%. But our people, it's like going to church, brother. We gotta feel the spirit. Somebody has got to be speaking to us. Somebody has got to.
That's why they got to put us in leadership. They can't just invite us to the events.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders is coming to New Jersey on Monday for Ana Lilia Mejia's campaign for Mikey Sherrill's seat. So he's coming here with AOC and the whole crew. They're going to be in New Jersey, right? And so
the street.
Yeah. And so we'll see. There's some folks that are trying to say, "Oh, you need to speak there," and I'm willing to do that, but they can't temper what I say.
That's right. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not, man. And listen, man, that's the same thing. I said to Mitty, man, you already know, man. You speak to the people, man, right? And I'm telling you, man, you speak to me, and because there's so many of the brothers and sisters right now, man, that are so confused, have no idea what the hell is going on, and I know we need leadership. I heard Minister Farrakhan say this, time and time again, that Black folk need leadership. We need leadership right now. And there's no other trusted leadership. And I don't know if you just saw what Kapele said, but you are that person, man. You that brother. I mean, that's it, we need, like you said, we can't have somebody, censor you. You've got to be able to say what needs to be said, and you've got to rile up the people. Now, and I think that's the same thing that was going on in the governor's race. I mean, until you decided to stand up, as Black folk didn't know what the hell was going on. We were confused. We didn't know what was going on. In our mind, you was our governor. So, I mean, at this particular point, with what's going on in the country, I mean, Black folks right now need somebody who can speak, as we all say, truth to power, but we need somebody who can speak truth to save our damn lives. Because at some point, man, there's going to be a confrontation with these ICE people. They're going to roll up on the wrong brothers, and the brothers are just going to feel like, yo, man, I saw what y'all did in Minnesota. That's not going to happen to me. And then it's going to be on and popping.
Yeah.
And we've got to figure out a way to be able to organize that because, listen, man, you already know they didn't come into City Hall and not know you were the man there. Come on, man.
Oh, no, absolutely. They probably came there because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. They wanted to.
Because we just made a video, talking about what's going on in Minnesota. I mean, they just tried to raid a pizza store in Minnesota because those people put out a thing raising money for victims and people that were arrested by ICE, trying to get money in their hand, did a GoFundMe and all that. So they tried to raid the store, of the owners who tried to raise the dollars for those people. It's like a wild scene out of a movie, brother.
It is, man. And I'm, man, I hit you up privately, man. I'm just saying, I don't know what it's gonna take for me to push you, but I'm pushing you, man, because I know you that brother. I just know you that guy. You know, we lost a man. But Zaid, man, I mean, you know what I'm saying is true, right and exact. You see what Kipele is saying, right? You know, it, man, I don't know if you see what Kipele just said to you, you know.
I can't see it.
Yeah. So he said, Kipele is saying to you, he said, you had black folks across New Jersey excited in a way about a gubernatorial election like I've never seen. And man, we listen. What'd you say, Zaid?
It was real. It was absolutely real.
Yeah. And I'm saying right now, man, we need you, my brother. We need you, man, because I'm telling you the conversation I was having with them dudes in the barbershop. I was like, yo, I got to get out of here, man. You know what I mean? I'm like, come on, man. You know, and I did not know, man, that they came to City Hall. I know if I knew that, I'd have said that to them brothers. But I'm like, yo, I'm listen, man, and I said this to Rakir. They ain't coming after her brother just to come after her brother. They coming after the legacy of Lumumba, right?
Oh, that's what it is.
To make sure that they kill all of that,
Yeah.
right? So that she don't rise, her son don't rise, so that his daughters don't rise, right? That name is dead. You
The
don't
Congresswoman just checked in the chat.
What'd you say, Zaid?
Congresswoman just checked in the chat, by the way, and I mean, and we need to also look at this whole thing tactically with these lawsuits and these charges, because some of us do not have the resources,
right,
financially, to fight these kind of charges. This is an old tactic that was used at the height of our movement in the late 60s and the 70s to help get us off of the street. These excessive charges. So we need to restate the support that she needs and anybody like her needs.
Right.
Absolutely. Right. That's the facts. We need to be raising money to support the Congresswoman to make sure she can fight these fascists, because that's what they are. They attack us and then blame you for being violent, for defending yourself, right? You defend yourself and they call you violent, but they attacking you, right? And this is at the crux of it. We have to respond in a collective. We got to get a sense of urgency that I don't see us having right now. We just don't have that urgency.
We don't.
Like King talked about the urgency of now.
That's it.
It's not there.
Yep. Took the words out of my mouth. That's it.
Yep. We don't, man. We absolutely acting like ain't nothing going on, right?
Right. It's just we desensitized to this, and it's like you beat somebody so much they get used to being beat.
Yeah. And that's why I'm saying, man, I just don't, I just don't think that there's nobody who can be trusted more than you, right now. I don't see a young brother on the horizon. I don't even want to tell you some of the brothers. If I mention some of the people names, exactly all of these cats I know. And, talking to them, they couldn't even get 10 people to listen to them and be trusted by them, But at this particular point, because we act like we in a daze and we have no idea what the hell is going on, we've got to have people speak to us.
It's shock and awe. That's what they did. They did the shock and awe. They got you, in the stupor. They came hard. They came fast. They did the psychological shock and awe. And just bombarded you with so many things that you didn't know what to defend yourself against first.
Yep. We got that you know, and you know, I saw that you know, Minister Hawk did something on depression because he was talking about, you know, running into so many brothers and sisters who are depressed, right? We in a state of depression. We don't even know what's going on, right? And because we there, we've got to have somebody to speak to us to wake us up, right? We
Yeah.
got to wake up, man. And whatever that takes, man, you know, us, you know, going and having these local meetings, having, you know, a major rally in front of City Hall like you used to do when you were younger, or you know, doing some major rally where we're walking through the city and saying, you know, in front of the federal building, listen, man, we're not going to allow these people to come into the city of Newark and push our people, and especially get these
Right.
young people riled up at some point, right? We've got to be able to protect them because listen, at some point, you know, some cat walking up to you and knocking on your door and saying they want to come in and see who's in your house. Come on, man. I mean, what are we living in, the 50s again? The 40s? Jim
Yeah,
Crow?
yes, we are. Exactly. That's exactly right.
That's exactly right.
That's where we are. That's retrograde, backward motion. And that's what they've done. And they push us completely backwards. Right. And when you don't have no ground, no footing, it's easy to be pushed back. Right. And we have to get our footing, right? Get our strength back and push in the other direction.
But we need leadership, man. We need somebody who can talk to us in the way that we need to be talked to, because some of these preachers ain't even doing that on a Sunday morning, right? You know,
right?
They acting like, you know, everything is cool because they, you know, I've heard some of the brothers say, "Oh man, you know, we don't want to go that hard because we're afraid we're gonna lose our 501c3."
Fred Shuttlesworth said, "God ain't got no use for scared black preachers."
That's right.
But Zaid, I'm telling you what I'm hearing, brother. You know what I mean? I've heard some of these cats say at some of the meetings I've been in, afraid to lose their 501c3.
Organize those who are willing to stand up. This is not the time for the faint of heart.
No. But we've got to figure something out, man, because I'm telling you, it ain't gonna be long if you saying that they came to City Hall, and I'm telling you, man, it ain't gonna be long before we see these cats on Clinton Avenue somewhere, and it's gonna go down. Right? It ain't gonna be long, you know.
It's not gonna be the same.
It's not. You know what I mean? And that's and you know, and I'm saying we you know, and especially Dr. King Day coming on Monday, we're celebrating that. You know, we've got to be speaking to our people to try and help them stay alive, but we've also got to give a message to these people. Listen, you know, there was a song when we were coming through, man. Remember the song that said, "Don't push me, I'm close to the edge," right?
Yeah.
You know, and that's real for us, man. You know, it's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how people going under.
Going under.
Yeah.
That's right.
And man, you know, we always talk about on the Man's Forum, you already know, we always talk about how difficult shit is out here for us in the beginning. The last thing we need is for some dudes, right, trying to come and knock on our door or try to run up in City Hall. Come on, man, we ain't got time for that. We trying to survive, man.
Pretty much.
Guys, kids, we trying to buy groceries, man. You know, we trying to keep a roof over our head. We trying to keep a job. Come on, man. You know, I had a conversation with some Somali brothers, and they were telling me, man, you know, the brothers were saying that they voted for Trump, but they really believe somehow Trump was going to allow them to get permanent status in America, brother.
Why? I don't know why they thought that, brother.
That's what they told me.
It's insane.
Brother, I see them going to the mosque in the morning. I'm out there working out, stop and say, brother, I'm sorry to tell you, man. You know, I thought, you know, he was going to give me permanent status. That's why I voted for him. I'm like, what? I'm like, I mean, he's targeting you cats, man.
That's why you can't be an opportunist, brother. you got to be on the side of what's right, man. You know, you can't be an opportunist. And King in the Three Evils speech, he talked about opportunism as well. Like, you know, you can't. You got to do what's right, not be guided by fear, or be guided by opportunity. But you got to do what's right.
Yeah.
That's it.
The level of frustration though, man, is incredible, man. Because I mean, some days, man, I told Larry that some days, man, I just don't want to know all the stuff I know. I mean, I don't know if that's what protects some of these brothers, but I know that it's stressful for me, right, to even get into a conversation with them because I see what's coming. And I'm talking to you, Mayor, about some of the brothers and sisters who got major churches that I've done work, right? Who have said that to me. Hey, man, I'm not trying to rile up my congregation on a Sunday morning. I'm trying to just keep them calm and I tell them, listen, man, it's going to get better, but I don't want them to really organize in a way that they should be organizing. I'm like, well, what are you saying? I mean, what's stopped them from coming to the church, man?
Nothing.
Churches are not off limits for them.
Right.
They definitely come there.
They somehow believe that Trump
They're going to schools. Why wouldn't they go to a church?
Yeah, but they somehow believe that Trump is this Christian because they I got into a conversation about I don't know if you saw Billy Graham who was saying that Trump is some great man from God, and so some of these brothers are talking about we should just pray, just believe Billy Graham, and everything's gonna be all right, my brother. Don't worry about it. I'm like, listen, man, I believe that too, but I also believe that we've got to organize and be in a position to help these brothers take over Congress in November, brother. We've got to be talking like that. They're even afraid to have that conversation, man.
Yeah, that's the people who saying they don't want to be political.
Yeah,
you want to be a victim. That's what's going to happen if you're not political. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and so man, that's why I'm saying, we have got to, get that leadership that we need, because Black folk need leadership, brother. That's just it, and we don't have it. And all that you saying is right and exact. We've been lulled to sleep. Black folks are, or in a daze, whatever words you want to pick, we all at. That's exactly where we are. Everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I got to get out of here, man. It's getting late, brother.
Yep.
But I appreciate the conversation for sure. Is necessary. We need to do a larger kind of event, man. We need to start organizing statewide.
Well, yeah.
People around these people, man. We just got to start going back to the way things were, man. More like teach-ins, man. Not just like these rallies. We need to have like conferences and panels and teach-ins that we can get young brothers and people you're talking about too, so they can get a clear understanding of what we're talking about, not just people speaking at a rally, because most of them ain't going to come to the rally in the first place. Maybe you could get them to come to a conference or a convention, but even if they do go there, they get sound bites versus a real like historical and contextualized information about what's happening now. That's what we need, brother.
Let me run an idea by you quickly before you go. We got the young man who's in City Hall in New York, which is a victory for us on the left. You got a progressive that just took City Hall in Jersey City. What if we did a rally of the three cities and the three, focusing on the progressive leadership from the three mayors as something to start that ball rolling?
That's not a bad idea. I know the Institute for Social Justice is trying to do something similar, but they didn't talk about the way you said it, and I think that's a great point. We need to try to make that happen.
All right. Well,
let's I'm definitely put that in these people's ear.
Let's go to work.
All right, y'all.
Get it done. All right, man. Peace, my brother. Be safe out there, brother.
Indeed.
Man, can you believe what he just said, man?
I actually got on. I got on right after that. I just lost complete track of the time, and I apologize to everybody for that, and didn't even realize it was time.
Yeah,
but that's crazy. But that's a test.
but listen, listen,
they were
man.
in, there's a couple things. Minnesota, for all the boogeyman talk about the Somalis, those towns are majority white towns. Those cities are majority white cities. Renee Good was a lawyer and a legal observer and a very white woman. You know, the guardrails are coming off. They're trying to take this thing as far as they can take it for as long as they can take it. And if they're willing to go there, they were in Princeton. They made some noise in Princeton the last couple of days.
I know.
The richest old money communities in this country. By the way, I just got a note from that Charles Boyer. My little brother, Reverend Charles Boyer, is not going to be able to get on. I really wanted to have some clergy that's got some spine, that can contextualize Dr. King. Demas should be in the background. He should be coming.
Yeah, he's not there yet.
All right, let me see if I can text this guy. Yeah, but because we got Monday coming. And we're gonna be in the street on Monday, So it's ain't nobody running from these fools.
But the mayor's right though. He was saying that rallies are one thing, but we've got to be able to hold these events that we can get people to come to and have conversations, so people can take this stuff back and organize in their communities, man. Because if we don't find a way to remove that guy before 3 years, we got 3 years of this, Zaid. That we and I'm telling you, something's gonna pop off, because there's no way he's gonna be fighting those wars, in all those different countries, taking over people's countries, and then doing what he's doing in America. At some point, man, and especially in our communities, something's gonna pop off.
The other thing is that the on the economic side, this stuff is not sustainable. Let's we're gonna lean on Dr. King for a minute. Dr. King was born in 1929. Do you remember what happened in 1929?
Yeah, the Depression.
Yeah, capitalism was, people like him, were in charge of stuff, and there was this runaway, buck wild, speculative capitalism and whatnot, and the damn thing collapsed. Right now, we should not. Am I saying that we should wait for this to collapse? Oh hell no! We should be resisting at every turn. But that's also in play. To be clear on that, they're not just wrong. They're making mistakes that's going to have consequences that they don't see coming, but they're definitely coming. And the recession, the Bush recession, all that's, please. It's we got to unite and fight. We got to unite and resist. Right? There's somebody who could talk about that. Then when you were supposed to have some company, I just got a text that he's not going to be able to join us, and that's Reverend Charles Boyer. I was trying to get a prophetic for for your segment. We got Monday, in the mix.
Y'all
Where are we now? How many endorsements you got for Monday by at this point?
275.
We're close to our 300 from last year. We're close.
Yep.
And folks,
we're not finished. We got today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
So there's still hope. But I mean, if it stopped right now, I'd be satisfied. We just got also the city of Newark as an endorser, so that was important. The mayor gave his support endorsement for the city. But how y'all doing? How you doing, Ed?
Hey, brother, I was doing somewhat okay before the mayor shared with us that ICE tried to run up into City Hall, brother. Did you hear about
Really? No, I didn't hear about what?
it? Yeah. He said they came trying to go up in City Hall, and he said, thank God that the brothers downstairs was like, nah, we ain't having that, you know, and then let them come in the building. Said they wanted to go look around. Can you believe it?
Well,
Can
I
you
can
believe it?
I can believe it under this fascist administration we're living under. Now you can see, you get some insight into what it was like before the Civil War. Because in the run-up to the Civil War, you had serious contradictions between the state and the federal government and between municipalities and the federal government. I mean, we don't get like a real in-depth history in school on the struggle against slavery, but the same things that they are doing with immigrant brothers and sisters, and now U.S. citizens, because a lot of the people they arrested are actually American-born citizens, and they are killing black people. They killed Keith Porter down there in Los Angeles,
Right.
But in the run-up to the Civil War, towns would resist state militia coming in to take enslaved people. I mean, I know it's hard to believe with all that we know about racism and everything in this country, but in the same way that there was a movement there is a movement to try to help immigrant brothers and sisters, now there was a movement to help us.
That's right.
You know, there were towns, like if you read A People's History of the United States by Herbert Zinn, if you read that, he talks about some of these incidents where the towns refused to cooperate either with militia or with government forces who would come in to try to enforce the Fugitive Slave Code. That's right, the Fugitive Slave Act. See, when we were in school, they never connected the dots for us. They never placed us in history. You know, when I was studying the Civil War, it was like something, I might as well have been studying ancient Greece, you know? And see, this is what people talk about. It's not just the message, it's the messenger. Because you could actually have a very good curriculum, but if you don't have a teacher who has a working knowledge of that curriculum and can relate that curriculum, relate that information to the students in a way that they can grasp and understand, that it'll be lost. It'll be lost like it was lost on me. I had some teachers, you know, who were sincere, who tried to give us a little information, but they didn't know how to handle it. They weren't black. I mean, I did not have a black teacher as a regular instruction teacher until I got to Arts High. When I was at South 17th Street School, from kindergarten to 8th grade, I didn't have a black teacher. And see, this is the perniciousness of what's going on now, because with this attacks on higher education, with the ending of affirmative action in higher education, we're going to have fewer black teachers, because teachers don't teach forever, they retire. So a lot of the black teachers that came in, let's say they started teaching in 1970, 1968, 69, 70, they have either retired or on the way to retirement. And you go in these schools and you're going to see now more young white people, the ones that do want to become teachers, because now they have degraded the teaching profession. Did you hear about the Trump administration and how they have declassified certain professions as no longer being professional?
Yeah, like the nurses.
Like the nurses.
Yeah.
So
That's
all of
why
this
is going on like that.
Right. All of this is working to our disadvantage. But I was saying earlier that this ICE, they are modern day slave catchers. And the point I was trying to make, trying to relate that to how they ran up into City Hall. That's what they did in the run up to the Civil War, before the Civil War started. See, the Constitution actually had provisions in the Constitution that runaway slaves were to be returned to their slave masters. Now, that's not the language in the Constitution, but there are clauses in the Constitution that are supposed to guarantee that. And a lot of times when Black people escaped their masters and came to the North, they settled down. And once they settled down and they became part of the community in some places, not everywhere, and probably not in the majority of places, but in some places, when the slave catchers or the sheriff or militia or whoever it was that was sent to get Black people and return them to their slave masters, people put up a fight. They resisted, you know? And as Zaid was saying, I think it was Zaid, because I'm on the road now, but I was listening to the program when the mayor was on. You know, I mean, the Underground, we had allies on the Underground Railroad. It wasn't all Black people. There were white people that were involved, you know, and not just John Brown. We all know about John Brown. But there were other white people too that were in part of the Underground Railroad and helped us to escape, gave us protection, so on and so forth. But what these immigrant brothers and sisters are going through now is what we went through. But more importantly, the point is, in the run-up to the Civil War, there were contradictions between the state government and the federal government, between municipalities and state government, and you see this kind of unraveling in the social order. I mean, if I had told people a year ago that the governor of Minnesota was going to go on television and tell people all across the state to resist ICE, no one would have believed me. They say, you crazy, you making that stuff up. But they're actually Governor Pritzker in Illinois. And what's the other one? What's the governor of Minnesota? Tim Walz. Walz in Minnesota, Pritzker in Illinois. They're telling people to resist ICE, to resist the federal government. They're going to court to get the troops out of their cities. I mean, this is the beginning. One could almost make an argument that right now we're in a low-level civil war.
We're close.
That the Civil War hasn't been declared, but that the confrontation, the conflict. Imagine the state government and the federal government in conflict. And I experienced this as a child. Remember, it took federal troops. There was conflict between the state government and the federal government. It took federal troops to enforce the law so that little Black kids could go into that school. Little Ruby Bridges, by herself, had FBI agents with her inside, and Eisenhower had federal troops outside to enforce the law. So this conflict is going to become even more intense. I did not know that they had run up in City Hall like that. And you know, Mikey Sherrill is going to be in a very sensitive position, you know, when this comes down, because the federal government is going to put the pressure on and say, you got to do this. So what is the governor? I hope Mikey Sherrill is going to resist the way Pritzker is resisting in Illinois, the way Walz is resisting in Minnesota. That's how you stand up for people's rights.
Right.
You know, just a press conference or, you know, a press statement. It's not going to be enough anymore. Trump is not playing. Did you see what he said yesterday? Everybody go online and just Google Trump said midterms should be canceled.
Yes,
just Google that.
Yes,
just Google it. Every major, I mean, it might not have been the front page story, but all the major media have articles talking about yesterday. Trump said that we shouldn't have midterms elections. Yesterday, Trump said that the Insurrection Act should be activated. in the insurrection, if he enforces declares the Insurrection Act, he can declare martial law. And if he declares martial law, he can cancel elections.
Wow.
So that's exactly what he's looking to do.
People don't understand what a dangerous point we're in now. People don't understand. But this is not unusual. Americans are no more different than Germans. Most Germans didn't understand what Hitler was doing until it was done. And that's what's going on now.
Right.
Chairman, did they not understand, or did they not believe that it was going to happen?
It's a mixed bag.
Right.
Some didn't understand, some didn't believe, but some resisted. That's the other thing we don't learn about in school. We don't learn about resistance. There was resistance to Hitler in Germany. There was what was called the underground during World War II. There was an underground in France. That's where de Gaulle came from. That's how he became the president of France after World War II, because he was a leader of the underground. The government in France, the Vichy government, whenever you hear that term, the Vichy government capitulated to Hitler. They didn't resist. The Nazis literally just walked into Paris. And if you think I'm making this up, go on YouTube and look at some documentaries. They walked into Paris because they had a government that was collaborationist, and we always have to look at history informs our practice in the present. And we see now that history, some people say history repeats itself. Some people say history rhymes, but everybody gets the point. We've been here before. We've been here. And fascism has always been a part of the American political scene. January 6th was not the first attempted coup in the United States. There were coups in cities in the South. In Wilmington, North Carolina, a populist government of blacks and whites got voted in to bring about change, bring about reform. What happened? The Klan rose up and overthrew them. They literally ran the city council people and the mayor out of town and just took over.
And some of them came to New Jersey.
They always end up somehow
Whitesboro,
in New Jersey.
That's where Whitesboro.
They always end up in Jersey.
Black congressman in Wilmington named George White. That's where they come from.
It's very important to study history. And there's no excuse now, because you don't even have to read a book. You can go on YouTube and just put anything on YouTube, any subject, and you get a video and you can sit and watch a video. You don't have to read the book. I mean, I'm not saying people shouldn't read books, but I'm saying information can be transmitted in different ways. And if people like watching television, you can watch, this stuff on YouTube, and people explain it in a very popular way. But the point is that we have to act. That's always the point. Like, there should be massive voter registration going on right now. Massive voter registration in New Jersey, wherever we at. Women should carry voter registration forms in their pocketbook. Brothers and sisters should carry voter registration forms in their backpacks. Wherever you go, you sitting in the barbershop. Hey, brother, you registered to vote? You're not registered here. I got a form for you. Just take it with you. You ain't even got to fill it out. Just take it with you. Because the only way to begin to stop Trump is to not let them get a majority in the Congress this year. This year is the congressional election. And I know people don't like to hear that, because, I understand people, why they feel the way they feel, because a lot of these people in government ain't shit, and I say that. They're not shit. They ain't shit. They're not fighting back. They just trying to hang on long enough to get their pension and get out.
Yep.
But I understand how people, but sometimes we got to put our feelings aside. This is business. Sometimes we let our emotions rule our heart. This is business. People say Trump got to go. unless you're going to take him out at the point of a gun, how else is he going to go except by an act of Congress?
Yeah.
Except if he's impeached or he's declared unfit for office. These are the things that the Constitution, and it doesn't happen unless you have a majority in Congress that can make it happen. A majority in the House and a majority in the Senate.
And
I know people don't like that because the more militant people don't want to hear that talk. But don't tell me Trump must go and you talking some kind of dreamland thing about how he's gonna go.
And Larry, that's why he said he wants to cancel the elections, because he said if he lose the House, he said that he's going to be impeached. That's what he's telling his people, right?
Not only that, what did his man say? How do people say his man?
He said, I'm going to jail. He said, I'm going to jail.
That's right. His man, Steve Bannon, said, if we don't win the midterms, some of us in this room are going to jail. Why would he say that? Because he know he breaking the law. He know what they're doing is criminal. And the only reason they're getting away with it is because they got enough people in Congress to allow them to get away with it. This is a power game. It's about power. And that's why I admire Baraka. Because he understands it's a power game. People didn't want him to become the mayor of Newark. They funded his opposition millions of dollars to keep him from becoming mayor of Newark. But he beat them. He got enough people together to get the job done. To get the votes that were needed and to get his people on the city council. That's power. That's what Frederick Douglass meant when he says, power concedes nothing without a demand. People say to me, I used to go along with it, but I don't go along with it anymore. People used to say, you got to pass the torch. Nobody is going to give you no damn torch. In fact, we don't even use torches no more. We use light bulbs. Nobody going to give you nothing. People don't give up power. They hold on to power. You want power, you got to take it. You got to take it.
I was in a room with Congressman Davis from Illinois, and he said somebody came up to him and was like, Congressman Davis, when you going to pass me the torch? He said, power concedes. He's like, if you run against me and you win, then it's yours, but power
That's
concedes.
Right. That's right. Did Adonisio give Gibson the power? No, he didn't give him shit. He had to beat him.
That's right.
Gibson had to beat Adonisio. Baraka had to help. Baraka, the father, had to put together the United Front.
That's right.
He had to put together United Front to beat Adonisio. And we got to understand, I heard you talking, Ed, on the program about how crazy some of our people are. We crazy because the system makes us crazy.
Yeah.
The system doesn't make us to be sane. We're not taught to be sane. We're taught to be disoriented. We're taught to be confused, because as soon as you get your mind straightened out, that's the first thing to get power. What did Steve Biko said? He said, the mind of the oppressed is the mind of the oppressed is the greatest weapon of the oppressor.
But Larry, check this out, man. So you heard me say that. If you listen to the show, you heard me say this to the man. You know that they did their homework, right? They didn't just go to City Hall and not know who the mayor was or who the mayor is, right? They knew the mayor was Raz Baraka. Father was Amiri Baraka. Mother Amina Baraka. They knew that, right?
Right.
And so for them to say that they were just going to go in and walk around, and like I said to the mayor, if that had happened, what would have stopped them from walking up to the mayor's office and getting into a shootout, right, with your security by saying, we want to walk in and just look around, and your security said no, and then all of a sudden there's a shootout, and they come in and try and hurt you. And like he
That's
said,
right. You're right, Ed. You're right.
That the brothers downstairs, he said, thank God that they had enough sense to say, no, we ain't letting y'all in here, right? And Larry, like I said to the mayor, what's to stop them, right? If they're that emboldened, he said they're already there. What's to stop them, Larry, from going into right? Where people live, knocking on your door and saying, "Hey, I think you got some immigrants in there. I want to come look around." And
Ed,
it's not going to take long before some brothers start pushing back because they believe that it's them and not us, right? But when it happens, Larry, it's going to get ugly, man. It's not going
Ed,
to.
if you Google, you just Google DHS, that's Department of Homeland Security, says they will now go door to door. Just Google DHS door to door.
Wow.
That is their directive. They are
Wow.
going to go door to door, just as the National Guard did when we were under military occupation in 1967.
Wow.
And some people want to argue with me whether we're in a fascist state or not. I'm not going to wait till they kick my door down to say that we're in a fascist state.
Yeah.
This is how people get disarmed. They want to tell you your house is not on fire when you see the smoke and you see the flames. You know, the house is burning down. You know, we are under fascism and we got to fight back. And one way is not the only way. Voting is not the only thing we got to do. We got to do everything. Vote, boycott, the law, going to courts. Thank God we got some people going into court because some of the courts have put a break on some of this crazy shit that Trump is trying to do. We need progressive lawyers. You know, we in the 60s, we used to have lawyers that work for the people. Look, they tried to send me to jail on gun possession. I was indicted by a grand jury. I was on trial right up there in the Hall of Records building when courts used to be up there. They tried to send my 18-year-old ass away.
Wow.
And if it hadn't been for this young white lawyer who took my case pro bono, he was working for Essex County Legal Services, they'd have put my ass away. These people were determined. They didn't like what I was doing on the Board of Education. They were absolutely determined to take me out and put me in jail and put me away. 3 times they tried to put me away.
Wow.
But there was something called Essex Newark Legal Services. It was run by a black man at that time. His name was Tommy Carmichael. And here I was 18 years old, and they were editorializing against me on television, on Channel 7, Channel 2, and Channel 4, because I said black kids should have a right to bring the red, black, and green flag to school and use it as a teaching tool. They tried to put me away. They tried to put me away on gun possession. They tried to put me away on draft evasion, and so on and so forth. Hold on for 1 second.
Keep talking. And Donna, you jump in. You've been quiet.
No, I haven't. He's I know
everything
that has been going on. I know that can you mute
I'm ready.
Can you mute him?
Yeah, I muted him.
You got no, I was just, even listening to clips of Joe Rogan talking about how far the administration, the Trump administration has went. And I think he actually referred, like, what are we, the Gestapo now? So, I believe we've been at a tipping point, but tipping point is very different for different people. And I believe people are just fed up. And what's going on in Minnesota? And one of the things that we have to recognize, the governor there didn't invite the federal government then, and they're just running like they were invited in. And I don't know if you guys talked about this earlier, but they have been here in New Jersey. People are posting clips of them, here in Orange.
No, he did. He said they
were in Princeton yesterday.
Yeah. But here's the problem with that, Donna.
There's resistance in Trenton too, by the way.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that. The problem is that we act like ain't nothing going on. That's the problem, right? I mean, I see some Somali brothers going to the mosque every morning for prayer, and they're being deported. They got to self-deport by March, right? And so they were talking about their family members in Minnesota, and they were like, my brother, we voted for Trump as a bloc. We believed, brother, Shalem, brother, that we were going to be, Americans. They were going to allow us to stay. I was like, come on, brother, y'all for real? And now, these brothers are afraid to go back to Somalia, right? They talking about, they're gonna put up a fight. Put up a fight. These people are kidnapping y'all off of the street. What are you talking about? I mean, it's absolutely out of control.
Yeah, and they had a whole group in Minnesota, Somalians for Trump. And and it's the same thing in Florida, the Cubans that were for Trump, and then you hear the reports that I didn't think they were coming from me, and and we all know that's an old poem. They came for this person, and I didn't help, and they came for that, and I didn't help until they came for me, and then there was nobody else to stand for me.
But that's why, Donna, they are afraid, right? And I'm talking about Trump and the people with him. That's why they're afraid of the midterms.
Because definitely,
those people who supported them, who realized that this wasn't what they voted for, they're afraid now that some of those 76 million votes, now those people are going to align with the Democrats and say, hey, man, that's not what we voted for. We need to get you guys out of here. And he's saying it. He's saying it out loud that, obviously, these people are going to impeach me if we lose the House, right?
And that's the thing, yeah. He doesn't like elections. He doesn't want to do anything fair, and and just when and the unfortunate part about the last presidential election, and when you look at the numbers, so many people said home, and for me, I know one of the things
because of Gaza. On some part of that's because of Gaza.
Yeah, but
folks don't want to hear
that.
Yeah, because it's because of Gaza.
And Hakeem said we need the Black Panther to assist at the polls. But the thing about it is that, I mean, things are, some might say things will have to break down and then rebuild. But this whole, now that if you get to the point, how, when people are going to be fed up, because if martial law is implemented, now everybody who wanted to or who could have voted and didn't vote, now that's going to be the big, now you can't vote, but when you could just walk into a polling place or just mail, because that's another big thing on the how they're trying, United States, this shiny beacon on the hill, like we're regressing so much. We're making everything more challenging. They're challenging the mail-in vote. They want, at a time when people are working hard, 3 jobs and things like that, how they finally got the mail process down where it's, especially in New Jersey, because a lot of other people have had it a lot more simplified, but where you can mail in and you don't have to take off of work or go in late and all this other. Now they're challenging the whole mail-in process. So we're really regressing or getting to the point where people won't be able to vote. And that's going to be, we're fighting our grandparents' fight all over again.
Right. But Donna, you gotta, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying us, right? All of us. We got to understand that there is a spiritual component to this too, because I was listening to this guy, Billy Graham, and he was saying, the way he was talking about Trump, like Trump was Jesus, and that there's an attack on him, and that somehow, these people got to be praying that somehow that all of his policies get implemented, and that he's able to dial back America and take it back to the 30s and 40s when white folk ran Jim Crow. I mean, this is what we see, right? And the thing is, Donna, is I'm telling you, you know, you got so many preachers that I talk to, a lot of the brothers I talk to, and even the lawyers are afraid of being disbarred, right? They're afraid of Trump coming after them, right? So they're like, nah, man, we can't say nothing because we don't, we don't have the money. We end up losing our clients. We end up getting fired from our firm. Now all of a sudden we in trouble. We getting disbarred because we trying to fight the government. I mean, this is what it's been made into. Right. And so right now you got everybody that's completely out of control. And that's why I was saying to the mayor that we don't have any leadership, Donna, right? Think about it. Farrakhan is in his 90s. Jesse, got Alzheimer's. He can't speak, right? So, I mean, where's the leaders? Where's the voices, right? We don't have any independent Black voices that can speak to this in order to rally up the people. And our people, just like going to church, we need that kind of speaker. We need somebody that's going to ignite the spirit inside of us. We don't have that. And that's why I was saying the only person I know who can do that is Mayor Baraka right now. Right. The only one who has that level of trust. The rest of these people are opportunists, and he said that, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, Hawk said, we have to, like Hawk is saying, we all have to be our own leaders. We have to, and that's a heavy burden for Mayor Baraka to carry while he is, and I know, and I can tell you from when Mayor Baraka, he has been, being the mayor of the largest city, he has always led by example, and have tried to, take us smaller cities on the way. And Mayor Baraka got elected in 2010, right? As mayor of Newark in 2010. So he immediately stepped into his leadership position, meaning the mayor of a larger city, having meetings, setting forth agenda. I can remember being at that first meeting, and I always remind him, and I'll tell you again. And I think what he said was like the biggest aha moment. He was like, "Hey, Rahaman, this is not the first. What's going on?" Hey. But I can remember he said in that first meeting, the problem with us is that we'll get into a room, we'll have an agenda with 10 items on it. We'll get to item number 3, fall apart, and instead of putting number 3 to the side and keep going to the agenda, we'll fall apart at number 3. We have to stay on task and do what we need to do to continue to bring our communities forward. I mean, and that was back in 2010. He gave that meeting, and here we are, 2026.
That's 14. Hakeem is right. It's actually 14. Yeah.
He was first elected 2014.
2014. Okay, so then it was. I can remember he did that meeting right after he got elected. I'll never forget. He said that. Hey, Rahaman.
Amina was supposed to be in, right?
You're early. You're 10 minutes early.
Oh, I'm early. Oh, I'm sorry. What was y'all
talking about? You here?
Well, that's right. So we're talking about leadership, and Mayor Baraka seeming to be the only leader.
Beat up on him. Fight the devil.
Beat up on who?
Fight the devil, Trump.
Yeah, he's the worst, man. This stuff. This country is going to hell in the handbasket with this guy running things, man. I mean, it's just amazing, bro. But I gotta be honest. I mean, because we're about to have the Muslim conversation. That's really why I want to come in. But I gotta be. I think what is happening with Ilhan Omar in Congress has to be one of the worst abuses a Congress person has ever taken. Yeah. I just don't. And what bothers me even more is I don't see enough Democrats actually coming out.
They let it go down.
Yeah, I don't like.
To the left of them.
So disappointed, man.
They let it go down.
Yeah, I'm so disappointed, man. And it's all.
Like,
that's why I thought the conversation about Islam and Muslims and this being a Muslim month was important tonight. I mean, because it's all about her religion. It's not even about her color or even her being a Somalian. It's really about her religion and the fact of the unacceptable nonsense that Christians across this country got for Muslims, man, is just it's ugly, bro. I'm just being honest with you. Black and white ones, black Christians, white Christians, whatever, whoever they are, man. I mean, it's just, it's crazy to me, man. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, so you got Republicans out there, but I mean, where these Democrats at? You know what I'm saying? That should be defending her. Like, I'm not just talking about the progressive organizations. I'm talking about the Caucasian Democrats who's sitting up in Congress and not saying nothing. Like, it's unbelievable, man. It is unbelievable, bro. The abuse this woman takes is unbelievable, man. I saw a video today with this reporter following her, and I was like, wow. Wow, man. Just like it's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And how they even and the fact that censoring how they speak of her, like, not even respecting the office of that she represents, how they talk about her is ridiculous. And like, you're right, and how they should be coming up and standing behind her 10 toes down and saying, we're not going to tolerate this for any person as a woman. And it's just horrible on so many different levels. And I think she's being investigated as well.
Yeah, he just Hakeem says it's about politics. Hakeem, I'm sorry, man. I wish it was about her politics, brother. Yeah, they don't love the Qataris and the Saudis. They love their money. That's a difference. I think we have to clear that. They love Muslims who got money. You know what I'm saying? Who's very, very wealthy, that give them billions of dollars in access of funds and stuff. Yeah. They love those type of Muslims, but it ain't the religion that they love. They love the money. Let's be, very clear. Green changes a whole lot of people's opinions about you. And I don't even know if they just so much like them as they really just like the money. It's just that they tolerate them. But it's clear that, it's her religion. You know what I'm saying? It is definitely her religion. I mean, Democrats don't have a reason to be silent based on her politics. They should be supportive of her politics. Where are these Southern Democrats? I'm talking about the Southern in like the Midwest Democrats that's in towns like in states like Ohio and places in the South and in the Midwest. Where are those white Democrats? And where are they speaking out against what is happening to her? I mean, yes, the very progressive wing of the Democratic Party comes to her defense, but I'm sorry, man. I just don't see enough people coming out. I mean, where's the Senator Booker's? I mean, I don't see enough people that are coming out just like going like, what do you, this doesn't make sense.
They bought and paid for by AIPAC.
Yeah, I mean, it's like what are we talking about here? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we talking about? Like, this it's man, there has to be a conversation about this, man, because listen, I've always said white liberals are the worst, so I'm not, not all of them, but most of them. So I'm not shocked about it.
You ain't getting down like John Brown. I ain't got no use for you.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Making it plain.
And white liberals has a different racism, because people always talking about white. You always say white liberals, because I was in the labor movement. I dealt with a lot of white liberals, and it's not so much that their racism based on skin colors. It's they have a paternalistic racism, where they think they know better for you. And to me, that's the worst kind of racism. You know what I'm saying? It's like you said, what you just said, Dai. You either get down or you're no use for me. You know what I'm saying? Is that you think like me or else, I don't, you're no use for me. It's that type of racism, and I have a problem with that.
Rahaman, I have Keith Ellison come out. I know for the first time
has been very much out.
Yeah, I know for the first time I've seen him on the news the other day, but I know the relationship there, she took when he left Congress seat, but I haven't you said he has Zaid, he's spoken out.
Yes, he has.
Okay.
I mean, well, he will. I mean, you're not, the Keith Ellisons of the world, you're not surprised. Like I said, the very progressive wing of the Democratic Party, even the very progressive wing that are white or Caucasian, what I'm saying? I'm not surprised at them. Like I said, they tend to be based on come out on those type of issues. But I would say the what you call the so-called the Democrat who moderate. Where's the moderate Democrat? Is really what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying? And the moderate white Democrat. Put it that way. You know what I'm saying?
Where's the white moderate Democrats?
Right. Right. Where's those individuals at? And those the individuals that I'm sitting back saying, wow, they're silence to me speak volume. I'm gonna say it again because it's the religion thing. It's not her race. It's a religion thing. And listen, when I was in the labor movement, I remember when I was part of the labor movement, when during 911, I sat on my international executive board in the 911, and
high level Islamophobia.
Right, exactly. So you talking about me traveling during that time. So I mean, the level of Islamophobia during that time was crazy. But the level of Islamophobia from the people who I was on the international executive board in the labor movement was crazy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they really was
questioning. American labor movement has always been racist and bad.
I mean, they was asking me questions about Islam.
The labor movement in the so-called developed world is the American labor movement.
Yes, they were asking me questions. I mean, I'm talking about white people on my executive board who was supposed to be like
leadership of the American labor movement supported Trump.
Yeah. Oh, no question. But you know, people who I wouldn't have thought would have been asking or saying certain things to me, like I was like, okay, folks, every Muslim is not crashing a plane into a building. What are y'all talking about? Yeah, what are we talking about here?
Right. We got. I want to let that. We got these young men just jumped in there with you.
What's going on?
Is back. Right. My young imam is here, and you just had Book Mandata on the back. I was ready to punch somebody in the face. Just with that. That's the real Muslim heritage. That's what I'm talking about. Right.
So Brock,
conversation. And Amina should be in
Zaid, before we get started, I want to know, did you all hear that the mayor said that there were people calling City Hall, death threats to City Hall about because of the flag that was raised? Y'all heard about that?
That's why she wanted to get on.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me, man. Because you raised a Muslim flag, right? So we can raise any other flag, but we can't raise a Muslim flag without getting
in one of the most Muslim cities in the country.
Right. Between right. I tell people between Chicago, Newark, and Harlem.
Listen to Chicago. Probably the only one who's gonna give us a run now.
Yeah, we was the Muslim Meccas in America. Like,
yes, sir.
We turn around here and got people who is upset with us for raising the flag, and this is the first time we raised the Muslim flag.
Hold the flag high.
Hold it high. Exactly. Exactly. Like, I mean, this is why we need more Muslims involved in the politics, not just in the city, in the state. The problem is we don't have enough. I'm gonna be real with you. Throughout the state, I mean, if you count the Muslims that's involved in politics in this state, it's a handful. I probably in two hands. You know, and to be honest with you, those that's actually known active is probably less than that. You know what I'm saying? Like that, you know, that actually got a name, you know. So, I mean, like, we need more Muslims in politics in the state, period. You know, and you know that, you know, it's a cry out to me in the Muslim community. You know, Amina's elections, a cry out to me in the Muslim community. Like, you have to be involved. You cannot take this lackadaisical attitude about going out to vote. It impacts you. And what is happening across this country and the disrespect that Muslims receive is because you're in action involved in politics. To be honest with you, that's just the reality.
So let me say that the mayor said tonight he's glad that you all are having this conversation, because he said it needs to be discussed, because what happened with the flag raising was absolutely disgusting. And so you all need to voice your opinions, especially you, Councilwoman. We're going to go ahead and give it to you, because the mayor said tonight, he was like, yo, that was absolutely insane, right? What took place, and the level of death threats and the level of attacks on City Hall because the Muslims raised the flag. So, Councilwoman, I'm going to give it to you and, you know, let you get this conversation started.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much for allowing us to be on and have this conversation. So, this stuff is crazy. When we just, we had a flag raising and lit the menorah, no one said anything. We did a whole month of December of Christmas activities celebrating the holidays. No one says a word. We do a Muslim flag raising. Oh, we have to have a separation of church and state. Oh, this is all about hate. We're not supposed to raise a flag of a foreign nation. We have so many flag raisings for every nationality, every country, every religion, every heritage, every lifestyle, everything. And I agree with Deputy Mayor, I agree wholeheartedly with my brother Rahaman Muhammad. Part of that is our fault because we have been so quiet and have allowed people to tell our story, to write our narrative, to say whatever they want about us. And we have not been as vocal and as active, and not in a aggressive, negative, malicious way, but in a way that demonstrates who we really are. In this community, we are homeowners, we are business owners, we are, peaceful, intelligent, educated, loving community who want the same things as everyone else. And so no one said, because if someone commits any type of offense that happens to be Christian, that Christianity is the root of all evil, all of a sudden you want to, is because it's easier to do that than to actually understand that we are more alike than we are different when it comes to Muslims and Christians. But this stuff is not about Christianity. It's not even about a religion. It's just about hate. It's about foolishness. It's about ignorance. And we are not going to tolerate it. And I thank the mayor so much for not giving in to the foolishness and taking the flag down, and they want him to apologize. And no, we're not doing that. We are celebrating our heritage, our legacy, our history, and all that we have contributed to this city, to this state, to this nation, to this country, to this world. And we have a right to do that and to celebrate us the same way everyone else does. And so I'm like, kick rocks. We're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. But we have a responsibility to be active. We have a responsibility to be vocal, and we need to organize and mobilize just like everyone else, so we can make sure that we not only have a voice in the room and a seat at the table, that we are the table.
There you go. There you go. Now that y'all on radio, you got to talk now. Y'all standing there being pretty.
I'm gonna give my brother Bashir, the brother, some time to speak, man. Y'all people say I be hogging up the time on here.
Bashir, jump in.
I was like, wait, I just want to know, did Brother Imam get a chance to say anything? Because he's very soft-spoken, calm, and he.
Well, Mina, Councilwoman, facilitate. Can you introduce the panel and let us know who the Imam is? And Bashir can give us historical perspective, but can you introduce? And I don't know, is this Imam's first time here, Zaid?
Yes, it
okay,
is.
so yeah, can you?
Okay, so first of all, this poor brother, because between me and my mouth and Rockmine and everybody else, he barely gets a chance to speak. But as many of you may remember, Masjid Muhammad, I think it's been 2 years ago now. Our dear resident imam that was there, Brother Hassan Sharif, was murdered. Masjid Muhammad, right there on South Orange Avenue, and that's really the cradle and the birthplace of Muslims in the city of Newark, where most of us were born. Rockmont and I went to school there together. Our parents worshiped there together. And so we've been blessed with a new imam over the past, has it been a year? Is it 2 years now? A year officially? I'm sorry?
I was telling him to unmute himself so he can.
I'm right here. Yeah, in 10 days it'll be a year, inshallah.
10 days it's been a year, and Brother Imam Mujahideen Muhammad has been amazing. He is so front facing and so community oriented and inclusive, and he understands what it means to bring community together and to work as well as pray. And I am so blessed to be able to partner with him and work with him. I told him I'm the big sister that, that fusses. So he's the calm one. So it's a good working balance. So I appreciate him so much. So he was the one that reached out to me about Muslim Heritage Month and really, was the catalyst for all of this.
Allahu Akbar.
Alhamdulillah.
Ain't nobody
Thank you.
gave no salams either. Y'all got
Yes. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. And it's just Friday Juma Mubarak.
That's right. That's right. Peace and blessings, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for allowing me to be here for these few moments. I was actually trying to find a flag that some people may want us to raise, which we do raise, but I'll get to that at another time. But yeah, we're honored to be here. We're honored to represent my family, myself, and our community, longstanding institute in the city of Newark. That goes back. We hear stories from the pioneers. One of the beautiful things that I love is hearing the stories of our pioneers. And my father and mother and grandmother who also were part of this community going back to the 70s. And then our family tradition, we can count back historically, we count back over 200 years going back to Africa. So for those who like to, say what they say about Muslims being new to this country and foreign born is far from the truth. We have history actually that goes back 500 years. If you look up the book Al America, it's a resource for those who don't understand language. You'll see the intertwining of Islamic language and the American tapestry. And there are other books. There's a book by Thomas Jefferson, Quran, which highlights the founding fathers and them studying not as a religion, but as a law book. Because it's also documented that the number one lawgiver, we normally think of Moses, peace be upon him, but historically it's given as Prophet Muhammad, prayers and peace be upon him. And so there is a convolution of religion and politics and government. But as our dear Councilwoman just shared with us, the importance of our culture, of our heritage is more important. And we all acknowledge that this is one nation under God. So really, we don't see the big issue outside of just ignorance.
I mean. Bashir, jump in, teacher man.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All right, Baba Zaid, was that a strong enough salam, bro?
Y'all be adding a lot of stuff, man. My fault. I'm like, hey, Amina, I don't know what they be adding to the salam, brother, but okay.
That's because you ain't feed them, Rock. You got to feed them when you come in.
Those of us who don't know what I just said, because there are people tuning in and they probably said, what did he say?
Teach.
Right. Family, that simply means may God's peace, mercy, and blessings be upon you. All right. Hotep, that's ancient African, Egyptian Kemetic word for peace. Some scholars say is the oldest written word for peace in human history. Or sometimes I just simply say peace. All right. Peace, family. My name is Brother Bashir Muhammad Bata Akinyele. I'm a history and Africana studies teacher at Weekway High School. But if you're from outside of Newark, you say Weekway, but if you're from Newark, you say Weekway.
How do you say it with the suburban accent back here?
I'm a member of the Newark, the mighty Newark Anti-Violence Coalition. I'm a member of the Association for the Study of Classical African Civilizations. That's ASCAT, which was founded by various scholars, community-based scholars like Dr. John Henry Clark, like Dr. Ben, who, by the way, took a shahada before he returned to Allah.
He gave his library to the nation too. He sure
and gave his library to the Nation of Islam. Dr. Asa Hilliard, Dr. Jeffries, Dr. Jacob Crothers, Dr. Malana Karenga, these were the founders of ASCAT, who believed that, that we should, present scholarship, present the facts of our history, Muslim and non-Muslim, Christian and non-Christian, Jew and non-Jew, present the facts of history about the contributions that Black people made to human civilization. But I'm also a member of New Jersey's Muslim community. I've been a Muslim, wow, going on over 30 years. I first came into Islam through the Nation of Islam. My big brother Ed Riley, brought me along into Islam first through the Nation.
I love to hear Ed tell that story too.
Absolutely. I got to give props to brother Ed
And,
Riley.
but Bashir, we gotta mention the general. His birthday was the other day. Right?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna say also that Mr. A, as he's still known by his students, was also one of my best soldiers in the new Black Panther. Damn it!
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
We had soldiers in this town.
Absolutely.
Right?
I was a member.
Our leader was Khalid Abdul Muhammad.
That's right. That's
That
right. Was a member
bold,
of the
bald-headed
Black
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 man.
Panther
He
Party.
didn't take shorts from nobody. Right?
And you know what? I give props to Ed, brought me along, and I loved, I fell in love with Islam, and as I studied, I graduated from the Nation of Islam and took my Shahada in 1996 with the great and legendary Imam Ali Muslim at Masjid Muhammad, the old building, the original building, the building that was built by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I specifically went there because of all that history, where Sister Amina said that Masjid Muhammad is basically that's the foundation, that is the starting point for many Muslims, past and present. So with all that great history, I took my shahada there with the great Ali Muslim. He gave me my shahada in 1996. And like I said, studying Islam, just the beauty of it, but the simplicity, I'm trying to find a word deeper than just simplistic, but the simplistic of it all, like just the oneness of God, Tawheed, committing yourself to belief in the oneness of Allah, right? Who has no partners, right? Who has no associates, and just having your devotion, your commitment to Allah, the Creator, right, of all the worlds, and and following, or I should say, following a man his way, right, his sunnah, a brother who, I say brother, but a he greater than that, but a great prophet, that showed humanity, show all the world, show Arabs, show Black folks, show everybody, right? Um, a way of devotion, all right, to Allah, and that's Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah, peace be upon him. Um, you know, and seeing in it though, here's where it touched me deeply, seeing it at the social justice of Islam. You know, I mean, a lot of folk come to Islam for different reasons, and those reasons are legitimate, but I can't when as I grew, right, as I grew in Islam, um, I got pulled to social justice, to be a community activist, to fight for, fight against oppression, to fight for the liberation of Black people, right? Uh, so, I found that in there, especially reading the prophet's last sermon, right? When he talks about there is no superior of the white over the black over the white, the Arab over the non-Arab, right? I found it inspired me to fight, to be a fighter for justice, for equality, and even in the Quran, in the second surah, when it says that oppression is worse than slaughter, you know, and that's these things inspired me to be the community activist that I am, right? The activist teacher, the activist in the community, right? To fight, to speak up, right? When some folk afraid to speak. We mentioned our dear brother Imam Sharif. He was my friend. He was my comrade. He was in the streets with us when we fought against senseless community violence. He was always there. And when we heard that he was murdered, Brother Sharif, my dear comrade, Brother Sharif from the New Black Panther Party, from Brick City Peace Collective, one of the co-founders of the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition, right, NAVC, right? We both had to go. We had to do something. We had to. We just had to organize the community to support the fight against senseless community violence, to support our brother, even in that Imam Sharif. So we went out there. We went out there right next to the masjid,
Shut that
right
block.
on South Orange Avenue, when some folk didn't want us to go out there.
That's right.
There were people that didn't want us to organize it, wanted us to do a rally. But you know, we fear a lot more than people. So we went out there and shut it down. We went out there and did a massive rally for our brother, right? Because again, he was out in the streets he was out in the streets in solidarity with us when we were fighting and still fighting, but when we were fighting against this senseless community violence when he was amongst us. So we had to go out there and rally for our dear brother, and we rallied strong. It was the community came out because he did so much for Muslims, but he did so much for non-Muslims. So the community came out in droves, but the Muslims came out in droves, and it was Muslims of all cultures, you know, because Imam Sharif touched a lot of people. Yes, touched a lot of people. When I went to the janazah, I never forget that. I parked my car on I think it was 7th Avenue. I parked my car on 7th Avenue, Roselle. The Newark police blocked off the traffic from that point, 7th Avenue, Roselle, and I'm walking in the middle of the street to Roselle, and the tears are coming down my cheeks because I'm remembering the great work of Imam Sharif. And when I got to Nia, the masjid on Roswell Avenue, there were thousands of Muslims there. There were so many Muslims. We had to honor our brother with the janazah prayers outside of the masjid. You know, it was powerful, man. But you know, like I said, the Islam, part of Islam that really impacted me is the activist, the social justice side of Al-Islam that requires us to get out in the streets, that requires us to challenge, you know, the oppressor, to correct wrongs, right? Brother Rahaman talked about not enough Muslims getting out there, right? We need to get out there. Many of us need to get out there. In fact, we're required to get out there and do something to get involved in politics, to get involved in every aspect of human society.
That's
right. For real, you know, to get out there and do something about it, because we live in a society where unfortunately human beings, you know, will do injustice to one another. So we have to get out there and fight back and create policies and laws that protect people, you know, protect oppressed people, protect enslaved people, or free enslaved people, I should say. It's free enslaved people and free oppressed people, right? So that's me, you know. And in that classroom, Baba, you know me, I'm fight. I go hard against white supremacy in the classroom, right? Correcting the errors that white supremacists and racists put out there that said that black people
miseducate us.
Nothing. That's right. Miseducation. That's right. You know, but racists and white supremacists put out there that black people contributed absolutely nothing to the growth and development of human civilization, which is not true. We are truly the fathers and mothers of civilization, right? We have done that. We have evidence of all of that. All right. So you know, I go hard in the paint every day in that classroom at Weekway High School. You know, correcting the miseducation that's been put out there by a racist system of white supremacists. A racist system and by white supremacists. So we go hard in the paint at Weekway High School, and the kids are really moved. They're man, I tell you, they come in every year, man, saying, "Hey, brother A," that's what they call me. That's my community name at Weekway High School, brother. I don't do the Mr. and Mrs. stuff, right? It's brother A, all right, brother Akinyele, brother A, and they say brother A. Every day, they tell me every day, and it brings tears to my eyes when they say, brother A, you know, no one has ever told us these things. All we know is some slavery. That's all we know. We don't know that you know, Kemet, right? We don't know nothing about Kemet. We don't know that Kemet played a big role in the growth and development of civilizations, right? That sparked actually civilizations like Greece and Rome. We don't know anything about that. And going and doubling back, I want to say this too about black people when it comes to history. That's another thing that moved me in Islam. Black people played a big role in Al-Islam. You know, I mean, we were the companions.
Prophet
the
Muhammad's
companions of
brother
Prophet.
on down.
That's right.
Lord
The
praise.
muezzin, right? The caller to the
Wow.
person that called the Muslims to prayer. The first one was a brother named Brother Bilal, right? And you know, when the prophet had asked him, peace be upon him, when the prophet asked him, well, how we gonna call? What we gonna do? We gonna call? How we gonna call the Muslims to prayer? Bilal came up with the voice, and he came up with the words: Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu la ilaha illallah. You know, yeah, Muslims know the rest. I'm not gonna do the whole thing, but came up with that, right? When in our prayers, when we are on our knees, right, in our prayers, and we stick our finger out, that's Bilal. Because remember, Bilal, right, when he heard the call of Islam, he came, he was a slave, he came and they tortured the brother. They put rocks on his chest and they wanted him to, just renounce his belief, and he couldn't. He just kept saying one, ahad, one, and when he couldn't say it anymore, he put up his finger, one. That symbol, right? That symbol came from Brother Bilal, and we do that. All Muslims of all cultures, billions of Muslims, when they make their prayers, they put up that one finger, representing ahad, right? The oneness of Allah. All right, that's us. That's our contributions, man. And we can't never forget that. In fact, as long as I'm alive, I'm not going to let nobody forget our contributions to civilization, no doubt, to humanity, to faith traditions, but particularly Al-Islam. Because some of us, unfortunately, like Baba said, we're miseducated. We don't know these things. We're not doing, we just we're not doing the reason. We're not reading these books. I got a few books behind me in my little library in my house, but we're not reading these things. But when you do the research, you find that Black people contributed greatly to Al-Islam. I mean, it's just incredible, man. But I don't want to hog the mic, brothers and sisters. All right, you got our big sister Amina Bey here, and this sister been around long time, been a warrior. Talking about that activist, that's our sister Amina Bey, and it's DNA, and it's just a natural progression, from all the work she's done in our community in the city of Newark. It's just a natural progression into the elected office, and she been rolling, ever since she got sworn in. She's been rolling strong, and we love her. I love her. My family loves her. Our family, sister, we call her my wife and I call sister Amina Bey's mother, Frederica Bey, we call her Umi. That's Arabic for mother, my mother. I call Sister Frederica my mother, and I get emotional thinking about her because she's done so much, for our people.
And been through so much.
But just my wife and I, like when we got married, we get married in 96. 97. And
where'd you get married at?
Got married in Wisdom at the Women in Support of Being Man March. But we got there because, we were trying to do the bushy thing, get married in Montclair, right? And white folks robbed us, man, and man, we went to Frederica crying. Oh, they took our money. Frederica said, it's all right. It's okay. You can you can have your wedding at our place for next to nothing, man. I think we were the second couple to be married, if not the first, but
you were the first. You were the first. Okay. My first wedding at the Wisdom Mansion at 53 Lincoln Park. The very first one.
That's right. First couple to be married. My wife and I, inshallah, will be celebrating on September 13th. We'll be celebrating 29 years of marriage.
Alhamdulillah.
But Frederica, my Umi, Sister Frederica Bey, and our dear sister, Sister Amina, they opened up their doors, they opened their arms to us, and we did marriages, we did all kinds of community programming there. Oh man, you name it, right, Sister Amina? I mean, we done Kwanzas,
all this wisdom.
We done.
But that's the thing, though, is that sometimes we have to remind people of all that has been done in our community. And like when I first, decided to run for office, and I sat with Rahaman and we talked about it, and we were just both like, we just kept saying, like, we can't believe after all of this time and all of these years and all of the Muslims that are in this community, that there's never been a Muslim on the Newark Municipal Council. There's never been a Muslim that's been mayor. There's never been a Muslim county executive. There's never, it makes absolutely no sense. And I'm like, we, people try to make have to apologize for other people's perception of us. And that's where the education comes in, Brother Bashir, and that's where the history comes in. And so we have to remind people who we are, not apologetically, but proudly remind people and in who we are. And like, Rock always says, is that we have to organize. We have to organize. And so whether it's organizing around education, whether it's organizing around political power, economic power, if it's organizing around social action and social justice, we need to be organized, because there's too many of us in this community that have contributed so much. My mother's only one of so many, and I want Brother Imam to talk about how we're going to be honoring so many, just a handful of our pioneers on the 24th of this month as part of Muslim Heritage Month here in the city of Newark. And we have to stand up for our pioneers and make sure that the generations coming after us know and understand what Muslim American heritage is really about, what we have contributed and what we have yet to do, and what we should be doing as a collective, because we work with everyone. We'll work with everyone who wants to work with us, but we are no longer going to feel like we have to shrink and be quiet and silent when we have so much to give to this community and so much to offer. And it's all out of love and truth.
Councilwoman, when you got elected, and we talked about you being, like, as you just stated, the first Muslim elected, and you were a part of a big announcement about what Muslims that were elected to office during this season. And you, and I believe the mayor of New York, but there were, I want to say, if I'm looking at that picture, it was easily 20 people on there, that Muslims that were elected during this season when you got sworn in. I'm sorry?
Around the country, yes.
Right. Well, and with that being said, and like you said, your contributions in Newark and I think about right now on Netflix, the special that talks, that Zaid is a part of, that's talking about Malcolm X and history. And one of the parts of that Netflix special highlights about Newark being one of the largest cities where Muslims are. And, so what, I don't know, what is it, possibly the humility, what is it that people are missing? Like you said, being in cities, we celebrate because we're diverse. So we celebrate everybody in our community. So, right. Is it people gaslighting, stoking fear? Because when you think about you living here and always being a part of the community, Imam just went back and he said, I can go back 500 years. So there's a lot of history, which means he probably predates anybody else that has been here serving or whatever. So it's educating, and people need to, what can we do, or what are some of the things that you're hoping to do? I know, because I know when we were having when we were doing the show, when you were having the event at City Hall. It was well attended, so that was nice to see how many people came out. But are there anything coming? And I know Minister Hawk just did a special on depression. So there are things that are going on in the community that, and I know the imam from over by you, Bashir, and that over near Wainwright, and he said everybody, it's a community place. So what are some of the things that are going on that people need to be aware so that they can come and see what's going on in the community that you everybody's welcome to?
So what I want to do is, and thank you so much for that. And it was well attended, and Brother Imam can tell you, like we kept looking at each other, like I knew people were going to show up. It was like, it was truly Muslims from the diaspora. I mean, from so many different countries, from so many different cities, from all over. So even though we are Norkers and we were celebrating, it was just Muslim heritage across the board, and it just showed the diversity of Islam. But Brother Imam, please, if you can, give us a rundown of, we have so many different activities happening this month, and you can talk about that and talk about the coalition.
Yes. I'm gonna see if I can share something on the screen real quick. This is just the latest flyer for the event that's coming up on the 24th, hosted at the, here we go right here. Oh, he had to put it on. Yeah, there you go. So this is, of course, sponsored by our dear Councilwoman Amina Bay. This is going to be at the public library downtown. We're honoring. So we started off the month, Muslim Heritage Month. We started off, it's kind of ironic, alhamdulillah, God, praise the God. We was actually trying to kick off with the flag. So I'm glad we didn't kick off with the flag. I'm glad we kicked off with
the children.
We kicked off with our children, the next generation. And it was very important that we expose them in a way that historically we haven't been exposed. And that's behind the walls of City Council. And we were able to go on tour. We were welcomed with the red carpet laid out for us. And our students really enjoyed being the council person for the day. We had 8, and then thankfully I had to be one of them also. So I was the council person for the day as well. But in that experience with them, they were very receptive. And one of the students actually said he was surprised that government is so organized. And there was a lot of other comments that we shared at one of our lectures. So we started off with the youth getting exposed to government from the inside out. And then we had the historic flag raising, honoring the legacy of America, technically, right? Because America claims e pluribus unum, right? Out of many, one. And so we were respecting that by acknowledging the flag, and we have our flag as a new community. And so we have a lot more to share about that another time. And then we're going to close out, God willing, with the historic 2 films. We might have to change. I'll talk to you offline, but because of all this rah about what happened with the flag, we do have another documentary by the same film producer. Actually, it's called 8 Centuries of Muslims. So we can share that. That may be something we might have to do audible on. But nonetheless, we're talking about the transition from the Nation of Islam to Al-Islam. And this flag that you see behind me there, that was the son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who raised that flag in 1975. Right. And he actually had to challenge his own people to say, if you don't stand and raise it, I will, right? So while we're talking about a flag now, our community flag, which is a product of his leadership, and he gave honor, as Imam Wahideen gave an excellent presentation about, it was actually a vision from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad about this flag. And so, and highlighting our pioneers, they experienced, I heard a little bit earlier with our dear brother Larry Hamm, when he talked about before the Civil War. Well, we have an experience as a Muslim community before integration. And so we're starting to feel some of this energy that our foreign-born or naturalized Muslims are feeling. We had this experience already as a people through Jim Crow and all of that, right? And so it's just the way how it is that we're all here. As Sister Councilwoman said, Muslims from all around the country, all recognizing our testimony that there's one God. That's what we're basically saying. One God, and that mankind is a messenger of God. And so we're looking forward to having a panel discussion, as well as honoring our dear mother, community mother, Frederica Bay, Sister Sophia Sharif. Some of you may know Sister Sophia Sharif, but some of you may know her husband more, Brother Osman Sharif, who got 2 streets named after him. But I'll tell you this quick story before I stop. Why Muslims are very unique in Newark with politics, I can count it back to this, and I got this from one of the pioneers. It was back when Kenneth Gibson, the first African-American mayor, became mayor. And there was this big uproar in the north side of Newark where the Italians were. And we know some of that history. But it was Frank Nine at the time, that was his name, Frank 9X, and those brothers of the Fruit of Islam who stood with Mayor Kenneth Gibson and said, Kenneth Gibson is the mayor of all of Newark. And so in that exchange, from our pioneers' recount, it was then on that African-American Muslims in particular were very critical in establishing good relationships with our political leaders because we took that stand of supporting the first Black mayor in the Northeast region, but also combating that influence that tried to have another city in the city. And we still get some of that today. So we do have a lot of more work to do, as was just articulated by our dear brother Rahman and brother Bashir.
Yeah, that's strong right there. That's strong.
And you could have gone on further. I mean, you know, we've got some time. We built this segment out for y'all to be able to talk, right? I mean,
yes, sir. Well, just one more thing I must also say. Well, we're talking about economic, I mean, we're talking about politics, we're talking about education and culture. We also have been very strong contribution to economics. Our dear brother here, who's a independent businessman, leading away with a dynamic deli shop. We have a myriad of businesses in the city. But some of you may not know this, that Unity Beef, halal, which is right there in our Councilwoman's board.
Long stand.
We almost grew up on. Well, let me give you a fun fact. Let me give you a fun fact by a dear brother from Unity Beef. It's called Unity Beef Halal, but we know in the time of the Nation of Islam, we didn't have the proper understanding of halal. So we did kosher, which was the best grade food at that time. So then when we transitioned and we did halal proper, not only is it a dynamic meat shop, butcher shop for the city of Newark, Brother Akbar Salam, that's why he's one of our honorees. He actually pioneered halal in the country.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
He pioneered halal with the USDA, with the council. He's also about to be, I don't want to steal his shine, but he got something coming out that's he's about to present to the community. But so economically, culturally, educationally, and politically, Muslims in America, Muslims in Newark have been very vital to the development of a productive community. And yes, we do have a lot more work to do. One of the reasons why we weren't as active in the political arena in our community's history was because of this to America, what we're experiencing today, right? This polarization. And it's an intent. It's not an accident why we have the person we have in the office. It's not an accident why we have this ICE. And a lot of the hate that we got online was around ICE. They start all these different silly comments about, let's bring the bacon. It was kind of funny too. But when Honorable Elijah Muhammad, even in his leadership, he also articulated, though we didn't necessarily advocate voting for a political party, getting involved politically, he always amplified to give an honest day of work. And then there was some struggles. We had some internal infiltration. We all know about the COINTELPRO and all these other security and intelligence agencies that were a part of causing splits between the leadership in our community. But I just want to leave you all with this note. One of the things that Elijah Muhammad shared with us, not me because I wasn't there, but our parents and those who were there, he shared the importance of us being one human family. It doesn't come across like that. Right. And another misnomer or clarification, it wasn't us who called ourselves Black Muslims. Historically, it was our dear brother, Dr. C. Eric Lincoln, who did his thesis and book, and he named us the Black Muslims. And so a lot of this stuff that people are trying to use to spew hate between people of faith, it's intentional. And I'm honored to be a part of. Yes.
Imam, let me, I was so, and I know Bashir, he did a lot of historical, but one of the things, it just came across my feed Minister Farrakhan talking to Bobby Jones, and then Bobby Jones asked him a question. This was an old, when Bobby Jones had his show. Asked him the division, what he perceived the division, and Bobby Jones asked him a question about Jesus. I'm sorry, and Minister Farrakhan asked him, and from the Quran, and then he explained to him about the teaching of Jesus, and then we're on MLK weekend, and I just heard a conversation that before how Dr. King and Malcolm X were coming together. So with all of this division, from a little historical, this separation between Christian Muslims, or what people keep trying to bring up, I don't really think there is a separation. I go to St. James AME in Newark. We have always done, and especially in Newark, there has always been an interfaith relationship. So there's this division that people are trying to make big is really not a division. Can you talk a little bit about, from a spiritual standpoint, and just, you already talked from the community?
Yeah, wow. So what that brings me back is to our origin story as a Muslim community in the world. So we're gonna go back. We're gonna take a time travel. We're gonna go 1440 some odd years, where before the migration from 1447 is the date where Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in Arabia, when he was exiled or being harassed from his own people, after being raised among them as a trustworthy person, as one who is truthful, never to tell a lie. When he shared that there's one God, not all these idols that were at the Kaaba, they called him mad. They thought he was strange, and so they were chasing him and his followers around. So Al-Islam wasn't publicly announced initially, and so but the poor people among the companions, they got it the worst. So there was a just king in Habashi, in Africa, we would call it Eritrea or Ethiopia area.
That's right. Come on.
And they were told to go visit them or him, the Najashi, because he was a just ruler, a just Christian ruler. And the report goes in brief that when those companions went to get deliberation or exile protection, we talk about immigration, right? Getting protection from that Christian king, Trump, the Christian king over 1400 years ago, was an exile for those early Muslims.
That's right.
And the people who followed them, the people from Arabia who was against Muhammad, though they were just not too long ago a part of that, his family, they said, well, ask them what they say about Jesus. So it was an instigator, someone from Arabia who wasn't a Muslim or a Christian, by the way, but he wanted to cause tension between the people of faith. So we can go back that far to see when there's that instigation between the people of faith by someone who's not even of faith. And so we see that all the way from there, all the way up to even today, where there's an intentional attempt to make us at odds with each other because of our expressions, maybe different expressions of the same faith. And I'll close with this, that story. The king, he said, after hearing what he said about Jesus, he said, there's two narrations. One says there's a line and that the difference is no bigger than this line. That's right. Then there's another narration says that there was holes in the tent and the light coming in is the same light. It's just coming through two different ways. And so he said, the king said that he will protect them with all of his wealth and all of his protection. And so these are different narrations that we try to amplify when we have interfaith dialogue, locally as well as internationally.
And the language for today is sanctuary. King provided our people with sanctuary.
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to.
Okay, go ahead, sister.
No, I'm just saying. I just wanted to say one thing, and Rahaman is definitely my witness to this. So when you were talking about how people try to create this false narrative of this, separation and trying to division and all of these different things, from the moment that I announced that I was running for council, the same love and respect that I received in my Muslim community is the same love and respect that I received in every church that I went into, and every Christian and every part of the Christian community. The same, the same level of, real peaceful dialogue and inclusion and embracing that I've received in the Muslim community, I've received that exact same when I've sat down with members of the Jewish community throughout the city and the greater Newark area. People who want to create chaos, make up stories, create and try to create narratives. And as long as we are intelligent and open and unified, they can't infiltrate. They can't get in. They can't create what we don't allow to be created. And so that's where, again, and I will continue to say this about educating ourselves and being organized and remaining unified as a people and not letting, not only just religion, but culture and other things divide us, because we now more than ever, we all we got. We have to stick together. These people are trying to kill us. Like, it's not a joke. I am not exaggerating. They are literally trying to kill us. And with the help of Almighty God Allah and to, and the camaraderie of our brothers and sisters, we can fight back against all of this foolishness, but we have to stay faithful and remain unified.
Go ahead, Sister Amina. I love that. That was on
Absolutely.
point. On point, Baba.
Brother Miriam, I wanted you to do. I wanted you actually to take another minute and just explain the flag, because the flag is hugely original and hugely important to our Ummah's identity.
Yes, sir. So I want to do it in a short way, but I might take a little moment just to share what actually the Imam said himself about the flag.
Exactly.
I'll take a minute. Yeah, I'll take a minute to share this. So this was in 1976, and the original expression of the flag was actually given in the board. We had a chalkboard. Anyone who came into the temple of the Nation of Islam before 1975, we had a chalkboard. And on the chalkboard, it read, "The War of Armageddon." That's what it said at the top.
That's right.
On the right side, it said, "Who will win?" On the right side, it had Islam, freedom, justice, and equality. That was the flag. And then on the left side, it did have the cross. It had Christianity, and it also had the man who was lynched. And so again, in that time period, this is actively going on, where there are people who claim the faith of Christ, but they are acting, as even Frederick Douglass said, or maybe it might have been a slave called Julia. That's who it was in this book, a slave, the I See God, or something like that.
Of white Christian nationalism, the doctrine that drove the lynchers, and it's the doctrine that's driving these Trumpites and these MAGA folks.
Yes, sir.
Ultra white Christian nationalism, bedding down with an ultra white Zionism that's doing that genocide right in front of all of our faces.
Go ahead.
So she said, you look like God in the face, but you act like the devil in your heart. And there are other narrations of our pioneers, those Africans who are taken out of the land, that came in this environment, became a new people. And that's what this flag also represents. The reconnect. We say even in the scripture, it says, "In the beginning was the word," right? Yes. And the word took on flesh, and so forth and so on. And so this representative of the flag is a representation of a book, and that book is representative of scripture, of knowledge, universal knowledge given in scripture. And the red, the red represents, most people say the blood, but the blood represents spirit, social spirit. And then we have the green and the gold representing the wisdom, so forth and so on. But when the Imam was sharing this in relation to the flag and the expression, as I kind of went over it, La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah, it's acknowledging what this country also acknowledges. It said, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed with certain inalienable rights, among these life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness," so forth and so on. The preambles to the Constitution, right? So in our witnessing, we're acknowledging that there's one God, and that man is the servant of God. there's a big problem in religion altogether, whether it's Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, any other major religions, for the common people, because we don't give them the explanation. We don't take time out to share with them the insights that these symbols or these principles represent. So it's not just, as is always portrayed, a Christian versus a Muslim thing. Really, Muslims also have a struggle in communicating the insights and understanding of the religion. If our first revelation was read, why is it that 70 to 80% of Muslim countries have an 80 to 90% illiteracy rate? That's not by accident, right? And they're Muslims. And so these are things, as was mentioned earlier, beyond culture, beyond nationality, there's just certain things that we have to deal with as human beings. And so the flag is just a representation of freedom of religion, if we want to put it in a word or an expression.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that was powerful.
Thank you, sir.
Baba Zaid, we getting a serious education right now on All Politics, a local radio show. I love it. As an educator, as a teacher, I love it, And I just wanted to say this before we close out. Big shout out to Imam Akhil Mateen, and big shout out to Brother Minister Henry Muhammad. Sister Amina, they co-officiated our wedding. I often tell the story about how we got married in wisdom, I leave them out. So I just wanted to give them a big shout out, the both of them, Imam Mateen and Brother Minister Henry Muhammad. But yeah, Baba, and that's the thing. I just, in my classroom at Weekway, I just finished doing a lesson on West African empires. And, within these empires, right, they contributed greatly to the growth and development of human civilization, right? I mean, for example, Mali, right? Sunyata Keita, the founder of the Mali Empire, he, along with other very intelligent African people, created something called the Minda Contract, which is the African origin of human rights. They literally wrote this thing about respecting diversity, respecting people's faith traditions, respecting the rights of people, right? And this came before the Magna Carta, the French Declaration of Man. This is before the United States Constitution. I'm talking about hundreds of years, right? When we talk about one of the greatest universities in the world, right? We're talking about the University of St. Corey at Timbuktu.
That's right.
And you can actually, I told my students, I showed them, we have technology now. We got smart boards. I can take my students on a trip. They can just leave the classroom.
Figure how to use that.
Right. So I showed them, the University of St. Corey, and I past and present. But I told them, I said, once you guys get out of Weekway, you make some money, you can actually go there. You can actually go to West Africa, and you can actually see this building. You can go inside the library. You can pull out the books that were written by African Muslim scholars. Some of it written in African religions. Written in African languages. Many of those books were written in Arabic, right? In Arabic, classical Arabic, and classical Arabic is hard. All right, it is very difficult to master, and our ancestors did these things, right? So the students were amazed that they said you can actually go there. In fact, there's a documentary that Skip the Truth Gates was in. Lewis Gates, right, the scholar from Harvard University. One time he was hard on us. As we, in the late 80s and early 90s, he was hard on us, those of us who were struggling, scholars, activists that were struggling against white supremacy in this country at that time, to present the facts of our history. He used to be hard on us, man. Maybe he has grown since then. But back in the day, we used to call him Skip the Truth. That's where that comes from, because he wasn't presenting the whole truth of our struggle to present the facts of our history. But in this documentary, he went there and he pulled out the books at the University of St. Corey, right? And they were written in Arabic. They were written by African Muslim scholars. and he was tearing up. He said, "Wow, white supremacists justify the enslavement of black people by saying that we had
No language.
right, we didn't have any, we didn't speak, we didn't have a written language, we didn't create it in these universities, schools, right? We didn't create any science and math. And at this university, the books that he's pulling out, it was about science, it was about math, it was about philosophy, theology, man. You know, we have to keep pushing, right? We have to keep pushing the facts of our history, Muslim and non-Muslim, right? Especially when it comes to black people, right? And I'm telling you, my students were amazed at that. They said they constantly tell me, brother, hey, there's so much miseducation. They don't say miseducation like we do. They say they use a couple of curse words. You know, they say this is some big right? That they don't share this, they don't teach us this stuff in these schools. And I said, well, unfortunately, you know, the schools, you know, are you know, we don't control them, right? I said we challenge it every day. Well, some of us do. We challenge the white supremacy that's being taught in the classroom in these schools. But at the end of the day, we don't control the school. We don't own it, you know. And you know, I said to him, frankly, I said we have to create our own schools. And you know, you speak of the Most Honorable Elijah, we speak of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's what one of the things he did. He established the university, the Muhammad's University of Islam. He didn't. Let
me jump in for a second because I got to say this because, you know, we have to lift. I mean, our leader right here that set all this off is a woman that's in Islam, and it was Sister Clara Muhammad.
Yes.
That insisted on the development of the University of Islam for the Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
Right. And she doesn't get lifted up as much as she should in terms of our heritage. I just wanted to inject it. And by the way, you mentioned the great Mali, you know, Malian Empire. Malcolm on his paternal side, on his father's biological side, comes from Mali.
That's dope. Alhamdulillah. Yeah. Yeah, we don't lift up our sister Clara Muhammad, you know, and you know, from what I learned, when I was studying about Islam in America, Sister Clara Muhammad, I believe, I mean, from what I read, she was the first one to to stand up and join the Nation of Islam's movement, you know, before the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you know. So yeah, we don't do enough to lift up Sister Clara Muhammad's name, but we lifting her up today. All right. But yeah, brother Baba Imam, brother Imam and Sister Amina and brother Rahman, you know, we have to keep challenging. We have to keep putting out the correct information about our history. And it's Muslim Heritage Month. We need to put out the correct history on Islam because there's a lot of miseducation about Islam. You know, especially when it comes to you know, African American Muslims, Black Muslims. Brother Imam, you don't have a problem with saying Black Muslim. I love that. I am a Black Muslim. I am a Muslim, and I'm like Amina said, I'm unapologetically Black, straight up. You know, I have a problem with that. But we need to tell the facts, especially when it comes to Black Muslims or African American Muslims, because again, some folk are pushing. Some of us, I'm talking about our own Muslim brothers and sisters, are pushing all of that to the side, right? But we have to give pushback on that because we played a big role in the development of Al-Islam in the world, right? And we played a big role with the development of Al-Islam in America. We have to tell that.
In the most anti-Islamic environment on this earth.
That's right.
Making it possible for other Muslims coming from other places to have somewhat of a semblance of life in this hostile environment. Our folks did that. Our Ummah did that.
But that's one of the things that I wanted to say, Zaid and Brother Bashir, and of course, always you definitely always bring the real and bring the truth. You know, going back to when we're talking about, you know, politics, and I definitely want Rahman to chime in on this. Like you know, Sister Donna, when you were saying before about the list of they had to put out the list of the different Muslims that, you know, were recently elected and everything, and everybody's under fire. You know, they came out, you know, Mamdani has been, you know, they've been trying to, you know, do him from day one. You know, they couldn't keep him from being elected, and he hit the ground running. You know, we have our sister Ilhan Omar, you know, not only coming after her, but just coming after her whole state, like literally trying to destroy her and the brothers and sisters that are there from Somalia. And it's just been this nationwide attack and really global attack. And we see what's been happening all over Gaza and every place else. And so what I wanted to ask Rahman
in Nigeria.
Yes, in Nigeria. Oh my goodness. And so what I wanted to ask Rahman to put out there is that how do we, in the midst of all of this chaos and all of this noise, how do we encourage other Muslims locally to, one, become even more civically engaged, and also to encourage them and motivate them and inspire them to run for office, and knowing and understanding that, you know, they may be under fire, but try to help them navigate this, because we can't shrink from this. We can't allow this. And that's what they want us to do. They want to scare us. It's like on the plantation, they would take, you know, the biggest slave and whip them down in front of everybody to try to make sure that everybody stayed in line. That's what they're trying to do. And so how do we combat that in just locally? I'm not even talking about, I'm saying right here in the city of Newark, where we have so many Muslims, we have so many people who are talented, who really want to be engaged, but maybe they feel like it's not worth the fight. How do we pull them out of there, Rock? How do we do that?
So I think the important is that, you know, what Brother Bashir and brother, that's why I was quiet, man. Listen to the history. I mean, you know, a different kind of history, right? And so I think it's important for us to give the history of Islam. I think it's important that we give history to Muslims, to be honest with you. I got to be honest with the Imam and Brother Bashir. I think more Muslims need to hear some of the history, right? And so, you know, I'm going to do something selfish here tonight, and that is I'm going to shout out my stepfather, Brother Sultan Muhammad, who actually instilled, you know, he was very active in the community back in the Muslim. He put the structure of Islam, although I was born a Muslim, he put the structure of Islam in our household. Actually, Brother Imam, on the Masjid 25, I actually laid one, I mean, I would say probably one of the first carpets in the Masjid with my stepfather, Brother Sultan Muhammad, you know what I'm saying, back then. But he was very active in the community, right? Which where I get my activism and participation in politics. I mean, the first race that I ever participated was when I was about 6 or 7 years old, where I was passing out flyers for Pearl Beatty. You know what I'm saying? And Brother Carl Sharif was also involved in back then those elections, including Brother Bilal Beasley, who made huge contributions. I think that we forget that history, that there were Muslims who historically in the city were behind the scenes in politics. You know, the crazy part is a lot of the things that I've done in politics, I've done behind the scenes. Although I was active in the labor movement and out front, when it comes to politics, a lot of the moves that I made in politics really have been behind the scenes, helping other people. There were people who were trying to encourage or push me to run for office, but it was never something that I really wanted to be involved in. One, because I thought because of where I came from in the streets, I didn't think I deserved to be in office. But the other thing was that, you know what I'm saying, I was involved in the labor movement heavy, and I didn't think I needed to be, because I was able to do the things that I wanted to do in politics. And so a lot of things that I did behind the scenes. Brother Carl Sharif did it. Although Brother Bilal Beasley was elected to office, he was one of the first, when I first got hired for the Newark House, when I first came out the streets, Brother Bilal Beasley was a maintenance man with me. He was actually being punished, Brother Bashir and Brother Hamm. He was actually being punished back then politically, just so you get some history in context. And they had demoted him to a maintenance man in the Newark Housing Authority. And it just so happened that I got hired on the site that he was in, and I used to see some of the things that he was involved in politically. And it was an article that I read that Steve Adubato was in, and I remember going to Brother Bilal Beasley and saying, I want to get involved in this. And he said to me, brother, there is a lot of room for you in this type of work. And it is what intrigued me about being involved in politics and taking a part. And so I think it's important that we find our history, but it's also important that we understand, like, you know, one thing that my stepfather always said to me, told us in religion. This is the reason why when you go to my deli, we support, you'll see us got people talking about, oh, he got Christmas decorations, he Muslim, he got Christmas decorations up there, he got Thanksgiving decorations. First of all, my wife is Christian. Let's be very clear about that. But my father taught us to respect all religions. My stepfather taught us to respect. He put the Torah in front of us. He put the Bible in front of us, and he put the Quran in front of us. You know what I'm saying? Doing our prayer. He put all three books. He said there's some truth in all of this. You know what I'm saying? And you are to extract the truth from them. He also said to us, you are to live by the laws of the land that you live in. Right? And the part of the laws of the land that we live in is politics. Politics play a great part of the laws that we live in. And I think that we forget about that. We get so deeply involved in our religion that it almost becomes a roadblock into us participating beyond the religion and get involved into, although a lot of us do get involved into community back here, most so we were always taught about economics in the Islamic community and being about self-sufficiency within the Islamic community. And so the politics of things always came to the back seat, always was behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? It was always but it is time now, based on the disrespect that's going on nationally, based on what has happened to our sister in Congress, based on what we see happening to Muslims all over this country, based on the fact that we even got one threat in City Hall.
Yeah, go ahead,
we be loud enough to get Muslims running. Go ahead. Being involved in politics and having their voice more heard. Heck, we don't have no Muslims in the Senate. We don't have no Muslims in the Assembly. I mean, there is a lot of places that we need to put ourselves to get people to know that we too are here. You know what I'm saying? That yes, we respect all religions. I respect Catholics. I respect Christians. I respect Jews. I respect every religion that's out there. I have no problem. You know what I'm saying? The Jehovah's Witnesses that came to my door, I used to sit there and talk to them. Even the Mormons. I used to walk to the neighborhood. Like, I have no disrespect for anybody's religion. I believe that your faith, the faith, I think is really about being faithful. That is what keeps the humanity part of us. Before any religion was given to us, we were savages out there. We were murdering people. It was faith that got us to understand the importance of humanity. That we shouldn't be killing and assassinating and murdering one another. There had to be some morality behind us being human beings, like you said, brother Bashir. There had to be some morality behind that. Right? And so faith is important no matter what you is, because it's hopefully that your faith is what's going to awaken you to what that morality is, rather you Christian, Jewish, or whatever it is. And so it is important that more Muslims take the roles of Brother Sultan Muhammad, Brother Carl Sharif, Brother Bilal Beasley, and Brother Rahaman Muhammad. I've been in politics for over 30 years in this city and been behind a lot of people who has risen into public office. You know, I don't take credit for it, but you know what? They can say what they want. A lot of them wouldn't be around there if it wasn't for my contributions.
That's right.
Get there. And I don't, you know, those that know the history know it. I hate to have to toot my horn, but I'm getting older in this time. You know, so we need to understand that there's someone has to pick up, get involved, get out there and pick this fight up and be proud. Like Amina said, hold your head up. How I love, oh my God, when I seen that picture of you with your scarf on the council calendar, bro, I swear to God, I mean, you don't know, they'll tell you the people that I almost was I told they give me one of them. And I usually don't pick up them corny calendars. I just want you to understand. I really don't care about who's in those pictures. I'm be real with you, with all due respect. I'm not trying to I don't care nothing about that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's never been. You don't go in my office, see a bunch of pictures with me and politicians. Don't happen, right? I think I'm just as important. But I'm telling you right now, when I seen your picture with your hijab on, with your Muslim scarf on, in that picture, it almost brought me to tears.
Yeah, same here.
I think
and took the oath, Rahaman, with the Holy Quran.
Yes, I think it's important that you know, it's crazy because you understand. I took a lot of oath being on a bunch of committee, and I always took it on the Bible, right? You know what I'm saying? So the fact that you took it on the Quran is important. You know what I'm saying? Brother Al Tariq Kenny in the county, Muslim in the county, he took his on my father. My father has one of the original Qurans. I got it in my house. My stepfather had one of the original. It's actually numbered, Brother Bradshaw. It's actually a number of books. One of the original Qurans that was printed in America. He has one original. I still have that Quran, and I used it for Brother Al Tariq's swearing in. If you look at the pages, there's actually a number on it to represent what number Quran that was printed during that time. So listen, I think that people have to look at that. They have to look at Sister Bay holding her head up, because you know she got an election coming. I hate to bring things back, but I'm sorry, folks.
That's
right. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? This sister has an election coming up.
Amina Bay,
there are people that are still coming out. There are Muslims, that are trying to unseat her. So we clear about that. That's right. There are Muslims that's trying to unseat her. That's going and saying some crazy things about our sister at the council meeting that is just never true about her. I mean, unless you're going to talk about her pushing me out the cot when we was kids in daycare, all that other stuff y'all talking about is lies.
Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? That's right. Is lies. You know what I'm saying? But they trying to change her character, and they're trying to unseat the first Muslim we had elected to council. And if Muslims in this community allow for that to happen, as deep as our numbers is in this city, and let's be clear, as deep as our numbers is in the central ward of Newark.
Go ahead, brother.
You know what I'm saying? Where the masjid is at, where the original masjid is at, then shame on us. I'm just being honest with y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead,
discussing that occurred. I'm just being real. So we need to get out there in numbers, organize. We need to turn around and get the Muslim League of Voters have to be Muslim League of Voters for something. If we're the Muslim League, then let's act like a league, because a league, we got a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? So if we're the League of Voters, then we should be a lot of voters out there. And so hopefully the Muslim League of Voters is going out there getting lists, names, people that's in that central ward, making sure they registered to vote. All those brothers that go to Juma, that have their little businesses that's going to all these different masjids, hopefully they're all registered to vote. And those that live in a central ward come out in May and make sure we resit our sister. Because I think Muslims made the difference in the last election.
Well, that's right.
You know what I'm saying? I believe that. I told, and me and Sister Bay had this conversation every time she came into the dinner. I kept saying to her, focus the sleeper vote is the Muslim community. You have to organize the Muslim community. You have to do that, because it's a difference between you having a close loss or a close win. And she had a close win because the Muslims, she did do a great job in organizing in the Muslim community. That's the first time I see the Muslim community actually unite behind actually going out to vote like that. And I'm saying it needs to be done even larger come May. You know what I'm saying? So, listen, you know, we just need to do it and stop talking about it. Stop beating our chests and acting like we so, unstoppable. And let's get out there and do it. You know, let's not talk about it, be about it.
And we're running up against the clock. Just a couple of things. Very quick.
Go ahead.
I want we have a Muslim mayor in East Orange. There is an event in East Orange tomorrow. So as we wind down, I want y'all to restate what's happening on the 24th and also share what's happening tomorrow in East Orange.
So tomorrow will be host of the Muslim League of Voters in East Orange, Brother Jimmy Small. We'll be at the East Orange Library, Public Library. Myself, I have the honor to share the panel with Councilwoman tomorrow. There starts, I believe, at 11. I don't have the flyer in front of me, but we'll be there in the afternoon. We have some Sister Mary's bean soup coming, and we also have some of our famous bean pot coming as well tomorrow to share with you all. And before I go, I just wanted to, if you can, I was going to do this at the end of the month, but I'm inspired by Big Rock and his videos. It's not done yet, but can the engineer press this clip? It's about a minute long. Shout out to our dear sister, Councilwoman Amina Bay.
Sharp mind, case closed when she speak, that's law. Team ABC in the back, stand tall. M-I-N-A-B-E-Y. He ride your way. Team ABC for the win. For the win. Team ABC for the win. For the win. Hey, Team ABC for the win. For the win. Team ABC for the win. For the win. M-I-N-A-B-E-Y. He ride your way. Team ABC for the win. For the win. Big dreams, that's motion. Turned out into drive, that devotion. Name on the board, crowd on their feet. ABC on the chant. Repeat, repeat. M-I-N-A-B-E-Y. We ride your way. Team ABC for the win. For the win. Team ABC for the win. For the win. Team ABC for the win. For the win. Team ABC for the win. For the win.
Woo.
Yo,
Oh my God.
Who produced
That's a
that?
sneak peek.
I want that. Send that to me. Thank you so
produced it?
much.
Who
I
produced
love it.
Is that Big Rock School of AI?
That's right. That's right.
I love that. Thank
But really, who
you.
produced it? Because they deserve credit.
Yeah, it was AI. I used some technology.
Oh, so you
Big
did.
Rock School of
Yeah,
AI.
Oh, buddy man, please send that to me. Thank you. I love it.
Imam, this is your first time here, so we have to ask you a question. Everybody's familiar. We ask everybody a question
Definitely
when they
want to know
come
the answer
on
to
the
this
show.
question. Go ahead. I'm
This
sorry.
is a hip hop political show. So when you're doing the work that you do in the community, when you're preparing a lesson, whatever it is that you're doing, is there a hip hop artist, individual, or group that you listen to? And if so, who?
I do. My wife and my friend, he's on Bilal. He the one doing the count. They're the hip hop heads. I was in a tight bubble. But one person I love is of course Nas and Jadakiss. Those are my two.
Jada, that's me. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I want to shout out Newark Public Library. They're doing a lot. I don't know if anybody, Dr. Daniel Black was there last night, and everybody's been talking about. I don't know if anybody in the room was there last night, but that was the talk of the talk radio today. Newark Public Library is on the map. They are doing tremendous things there. So everybody was talking about Dr. Daniel Black. So Newark was the talk of the radio, talk landia, as they say today.
Definitely got to shout out Tyson Haley from the Newark Public Library. He's been doing his thing in the community.
Okay. I was like, woo, everybody was talking about that today. So thank everybody for being here. And thank you, Mom. And don't be a stranger. You know, call Councilwoman, call that. You got all of you can be a host of the first week of the month with Big Rock. Call Brother Bashir, he's a founder. You know, call Councilwoman, you know, or just give us, let us know that you want to come on. But thank you for being here. And you know, this show, and particularly, we love history. So if you just want to come back and do a history segment, please, by all means.
Yeah, I'm working on a course called the New Freedom Movement, where we highlight the evolution of our people coming from Africa to America. So I love to share that when it's done.
Yeah, so and let me drop this. And Bashir, I've been trying to get in touch with TJ too, because and I don't know if they know each other, but I don't know if y'all know Sister Karen Hunter. She's a professor. You know, she's from our community. Yes. And you know, she and Dr. Greg Carr, they have a clarion call out, Bashir, that they want to put freedom schools in every community. So I was trying to reach out to TJ. So Imam, you know, you have the space because they just wanted, you know, if there's a space that's available, you know, and I'm saying, Councilwoman, you know, Karen, if you can, they are really trying to get community-based freedom schools up and running all over, and bring TJ to the studio. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, as she would always say.
I ran the freedom school for almost 10 years.
Exactly. So yeah, so
Yeah, that's
this is
powerful. Yeah,
something, you know, I
yeah,
know, you know, joining out of the outside, it's nice that we can get it as a partnership with the Board of Educations, but school, churches, wherever we can. But that's something that we probably should all get on because
got
it's something that and when you have like Professor Card, Dr. Daniel Black, and all of them, they're really trying to get it up and running. So
yeah.
Point of information. This is just Marion Wright Edelman.
yes. Mhm.
When she was in the NAACP in Mississippi.
Right, right, right.
She's the mother of the Freedom School concept.
Okay.
And that was the arm that educated parents and children as to what we were trying to get the parents to do in the civil rights movement.
No doubt. Absolutely.
Malcolm comes along and comes up with a liberation school that the
Yeah.
Black Panther Party picked up.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we
Yeah.
have these traditions where all those spaces where we control and have access to our kids, we need to give them everything that we can possibly give them.
Absolutely. We got to base that week-way. We done launched all kinds of programs that week-way, for the community or with the community. But I just want to say this, family, before we go, big shout out to all the folk that tuned in today at the for the All Politics or Local Radio show, the number one political hip-hop radio show in America, no doubt. Big shout out to Brother Bilal. Big shout out to Brother Baruti. Big shout out to Hakeem Green. Big shout out. Big shout out to you brothers, no doubt. Big shout out. And Brother Imam.
You got to get back on too.
No doubt. But Brother Imam, while we talking about the contributions Black people made, African people made to Islam, I'm just encouraging you to read Omar Ibn Said's memoir, brother. I use that in my history class, my history and Africana studies class. In fact, I did an article for Patch, a very special Kwanzaa piece I did last year, which included Omar Ibn Said, who was a brother. He was an Islamic scholar from West Africa that was captured, that was kidnapped and brought to the shores of America. And before he returned to Allah, he did his memoir. And in his memoir, right, he talked about how no man should be no man should be enslaved to another man. And he wrote it in classical Arabic. Let me say it one more time for folks in the back. He wrote it in classical Arabic. Reason why I'm saying it like that, because some of us are so brainwashed, Brother Rahman. We so miseducated. We only think that Arabs can speak classical Arabic, brother. We really believe that, right? But there are Black people, right, past and present, that can speak and write and communicate in classical Arabic. Omar Ibn Said was one of them.
I got it. I've been putting in the chat now.
Absolutely, brother.
And fun fact, we have a masjid named after him down in.
That's
North
right. I was going to quickly mention that. But big shout out to all the pioneers that labored so hard to establish Al-Islam in the city of Newark, in Jersey, and in America and in the world. Big shout out, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen, for all of them. That simply means, in English, it's Arabic words, but it simply means praise be to God, the cherisher and sustainer of all the worlds.
And Ken Zayed, do you want to thank the mayor again for doing his show?
You did it. Just do it. Go ahead, run it.
Oh, I just want to make sure we want to, of course, thank Mayor Baraka for doing his show.
Behind him came Lawrence Hamm
and Chairman Hamm.
That's right. We apologize. We were supposed to have Reverend Charles Boyer, Salvation and Social Justice, to be with us. We'll get him back first chance we get. And then, of course, our guest right here, right? Big Rock, Rahaman Muhammad, right? Our deputy mayor, right? Bashir Patah Muhammad Akinyele, our people's teacher, right? And our young imam, very proud of this young man, right? I'm proud of all of y'all. As the old head on this conversation, I'm very proud of all of y'all. And our beloved Councilwoman, my dear heart, Amina Bay, we're actually back 100%. We had a powerful show, and the feedback has been powerful, and it was just good to do. And this is what this drum is for.
And DJ Rhino apologized for not being here, but he did not want us to close the show out without saying rest in peace to John Forte. Yes. And just send our prayers and thoughts to his family as they are preparing to celebrate his life.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Wa alaikum salam. We will see y'all next week. Same time, same place, live on YouTube and Facebook. All politics are local.
And what we gonna see him play?
We'll see you in the whirlwind, and you don't stop.
Anxiety and